Hello, my name is Alan, and today I'm facilitating a session of Against the Dark Conspiracy. This is my own game, just successfully kickstarted. I'm very excited, in which competent, though damaged professionals take on a hidden vampire conspiracy. This game was organized as part of this February 2021's Gauntlet Community Open Gaming Weekend. This is one of a series. We run them every 3 months or so. Opportunities for people to play with the Gauntlet if they don't play regularly with the Gauntlet, and to we hope encourage more people to play online, particularly in the current kind of COVID times. The Gauntlet, if you don't know about that, the Gauntlet is a community of role players playing mostly indie narrative, relatively rules light games, though we do have the occasional session of slightly grittier games running. And if you would like to find us, search Gauntlet-RPG and you will find us on the internet, where you can come and find out about us. We have a public-facing forums and a Slack for people who play with us. So you know, it's an opportunity to get to know us. We also, if you wanted to play with us regularly, there is a Patreon. That Patreon gives priority access to the normal calendar. We normally have a calendar, not a weekend like this, a calendar which has 100 or so games running across a month, of all kinds. So please, you know, come play with the Gauntlet. We love the table culture. This is a game then in which these potentially, well, yeah, no, I think they probably are damaged, capable but damaged individuals who previously made their living. Previously, I stress, their connections with any of the overlapping crime and espionage communities that they may have worked for has been blown. They probably still exist in the shadowy gaps between those communities. But it is in those shadowy gaps that they discovered the conspiracy behind what passed for their normal lives. The die was cast. They can never unknow what they have discovered. They can never go back to what they were before. Now, doing dubious and dangerous things for their country or personal gain has left them with few ties to family or friends, making the ones they have left all the more important. That's why the team matters to them. This team may not be the best of friends. They may have complex histories with one another, but at root, at base, they trust one another. They are certain that vampires exist and are monsters that prey on humanity. They've never seen one up close and personal, so they will need to find out more before perhaps they confront one. But by working their way through conspiracy proxies, they can perhaps learn enough to begin to dismantle the conspiracy one corrupt piece at a time. The setup for this session is that a few days ago, someone sent the team a packet of information by an encrypted message service. There was enough in that to suggest that when the sender talked about the conspiracy, that was with a capital C. And specifically, it talked about a journalist at risk. I will come back to that when we start play. Look, the tone of this game, it's about the supernatural, it's about merciless vampires and their cruel and venal human pawns. It's intended to be rich in darkness and foreboding and horror. Quite how dark and disturbing will depend on how the players approach the game, but whatever their approach, the longer term fate of characters is certainly pretty bleak, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. Just to make sure that we're all on the same page, the subject matter here, you know, there is a content warning, there is horror, gore, betrayal, subterfuge. You know, this is a murky world that the players are stepping into. And given that material, we're going to be using a safe set of safety tools just to ensure that you know, we all have fun at the table. That's the objective. We're going to be playing with the X card. And I think all these players know about the X card, but the best way to play the X card for me is to show me the X. If you're uncomfortable doing that, put it in the chat. But can I ask the other player, all of you, keep an eye on the chat, because I'm not very good at looking at the chat when I'm playing. If you see someone mark X card, please draw my attention to it. The X card is there to put a brake on the narrative because something you're uncomfortable with. It could be anything. I've had people play an X card because I gave an NPC a name And that name was someone that they were very fond of. And when my NPC started to do nasty things, they were uncomfortable with that naming. You know, or I won't ask you though why you have played the X card, but I might ask you how far back in the narrative you want me to go in order to get in front of the stuff that's disturbed you, and then I'll attempt to play forward by playing around it. Don't worry if the first time something comes up, you say, "Oh, I'm okay with that," and no, I'm not going to play the X card. I'm fine with that. And then later on in the game, you think it comes up again. You think, actually, no, I'm not all right with it. Just because you didn't play the X card the first time doesn't mean you can't play it the second time. Please play the X card whenever you feel uncomfortable, whatever the circumstances. In order to try and reduce the number of times we play the X card might come up, we're playing with a set of lines and veils. And I'd ask the players just to take a look at the lines and veils tab. My starting lines, the stuff that won't come up in the narrative, is sexual assault and violence, harm to children, homophobia, racism, sexism, infection or plague is a major plot point. I am distinguishing that from the way that vampires make other vampires. So, you know, we know which infection and plague I'm talking about. Pregnant women, peril to pregnant women and infants. Those are things I don't want to see in my games. In terms of lines, of veils rather, veils are things that could crop up in the narrative, but we will draw a discrete curtain across the top. Because I'm old and British, consensual sex will be veiled. I'm also putting a veil on domestic violence, torture, either by PCs or NPCs. It can go on in the narrative, but we won't be getting into the gritty detail of that. Now, just for the player's information, I have put another block on the lines and veils, which is interested in. This is my aid memoir to just make sure you realize that one of the ways that in this game you can recover stress that you will accumulate is by giving in to your vices, or being nasty to people, right? And therefore, in this game, it is possible to be nasty to other player characters, and that's why I've put betrayal on there as an aid memoir. It is possible in this to get violent with other player characters just to let a bit of stress go. It is possible to have meaningless sex in this game in order to vent stress. And that could be with a player character or a non-player character. And it is possible to vent stress by abusing drugs and alcohol. So all of those are adult themes, but they can involve other player characters. And I've put gore and body horror there just because it's a vampire game. But in terms of those stress relief moves, you'll find them in Seek Relief from the Horror. We will have a convention whereby if you are going to involve a PC in your release of stress, I will be expecting you to just get the okay from that player before you involve their character, because we don't want people to be getting into difficulties when they don't want to. Yeah. All of those stress relief moves have consequences. If it's going to be a consequence to another player character, it's nice to kind of make sure that they're comfortable with that. We're also playing with an open door. When we're playing online, stuff happens in the real world. The open door is there for you to use it to go and deal with those issues that might come up. In my case, it's more likely to be a delivery than anything else, given that we're locked down in the UK. We hope you come back. You know, if you can't come back because stuff's happened in the real world, then just send us a message. We'll play on, hoping you'll come back. The other reason for the open door is this may turn out not to be the game that you thought it was. If it's not the game you thought it was, please don't feel obliged to stay chained to the table. You know, if this turns out not to be fun, please, you know, you've got better things to do with your time than to sit playing a game you're not enjoying. And finally, we'll be playing with the Gauntlet Code of Conduct. And I boil this down to playing respectfully. So, you know, don't interrupt other players. Don't insert yourself into a scene that another player has set up unless they invite you to do so. Help to keep the spotlight circulating by not hogging it. And support me when I hard frame a scene, or try to bring a scene to a close. When I ask you, you know, where is this scene going? I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just trying to work out how long to let this run in an effort to keep the narrative moving. So that's the game we're playing. Lines and Veils, if you want to add anything else, players, to the Lines and Veils, there are some other slightly bizarre options down there that have cropped up in others of my games. But write in any other ones and we'll check in at intervals. Okay, so there we are. That is the game that we are playing. Oh, everyone is still here, so that's a good sign. Can I now ask you to introduce yourself and tell us something about the character that we've set up, that you've set up before we started play? So let me start by saying, Shane, say hello. Oh, sorry, I think I do it at the start. I should do it at the end. My name is Alan, and I use the pronouns he, him. So, Shane, introduce yourself, tell us your pronouns, and tell us about Katerina Osipova.
Hi, my name's Shane. I use she, her pronouns, as does Katerina. She is a former agent of the Russian GRU. Her specialty is that she's a provocateur. So she is skilled in small arms and hand-to-hand, fieldcraft and disguise. And she is, well, others see her as a glamorous brunette. She favors expensive clothes, especially furs, as you can see, and carries a small pistol in her Louis Vuitton purse. You're muted, Alan.
Interested to see how she deals with some of perhaps our climatic challenges. Moving along, Mario, say hello and tell us about Stefano.
Hello, I'm Mario. I use he, him pronouns, so does Stefano Rosalia. He's from a criminal organization, the Cosa Nostra. I'm not sure about the specialist thing because I did not know what a black bagger is doing and what a sparks is, but I just picked the Scalp Hunter. Maybe we can change that if it's not what I think it is. He knows.
I'll answer that question now.
Sure.
If you select the black bagger, what you'll find is your area of expertise adopts intrusion. So a black bagger breaks into places.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other one you were interested in?
Sparks.
The Sparks. The Sparks is the engineer. You built dangerous things.
I guess
the Scalp Hunter is basically a killer.
Well, then yeah, that's okay for me. So he is an expert with small arms and hand-to-hand combat, larceny, and heavy weapons. He's a slick guy. On the one hand, he seems to be professional. On the other hand, he's kind of a top attitude. He wears a suit, has black hair and no beard, as shown on the picture. And he believes in God, which helps him fight vampires, I guess.
I'll come back to what you believe in a bit. Let's move along. Blake, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and tell us about Jasmin Girard.
Yeah, g'day, I'm Blake, he, him. Yeah, I'm playing Jasmin Girard, she, her, a intelligence analyst from France in the Central Directorate. And yeah, because she's an analyst, she's done small arms and tradecraft and research.
And we've got a picture of her. How do you feel she comes across to people?
Fairly serious and task orientated.
Okay. And then finally, Michael, say hello, tell us about your pronouns and those of Rasheed Malik.
Hello, yes, I'm Michael, he, him, and I will be playing Rasheed Malik, who is also he, him. He is in signals intelligence, well, was in signals intelligence for the UK's GCHQ. Specialist is hacking. So in addition to the small arms and hand-to-hand, also research and digital intrusion. He's tall, dark-skinned, quiet, comfortably dressed, kind of awkward, but has a really awesome mustache.
He certainly does. So that is our cast of damaged, burned, and dangerous agents and criminals. Let's just flesh out some of the stuff about them then. So can I start by asking Katerina, who's your anchor? Who's the person that you really need to protect from the conspiracy? The one person perhaps outside of this team that still cares about you and you still care about.
Yeah, I think it's my mother who still lives in, somewhere in the Russian countryside. Probably she's had to be hidden away, to escape the attentions of the conspiracy. But yeah, that's the person that she cares the most about and is most determined to protect.
I mean, not yet. I'm looking forward to putting your aging mother on the run. But at the moment, she is happily living a life thinking what does she think you do? Or did?
I imagine that she thinks I work for some sort of Russian oligarch, that I'm, some sort of agent for an import-export business or something like that.
Jet setting around the world.
Yeah.
Okay. Will you put just a few words to that effect in your anchor box there, just so it's an aid memoir? And then let's move along to Stefano. Stefano, who are you who do you need to protect from the conspiracy?
I think my brother, who's still with the mob.
Okay. What's your brother called?
Let's go with Mariano. Okay.
Tell me about just put something, Mariano, your brother is still with the mob. That's great. And we'll fill out more about them in play. What about Jasmin? Who's Jasmin's anchor?
Johan, her brother. He's a bodyguard for like a rich merchant banker.
Okay. Was he in the service before?
Yeah.
Okay. So brother and sister, secret agents. He's gone into bodyguarding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And what about Rasheed? Who's important to Rasheed?
I also went with my parents. The primary reason being that they've already lost so much, which gets down into the next question a bit.
Well, let's segue straight into that, and I'll go back across the character keeper. So
Sounds good.
Why Rasheed did you choose to confront the conspiracy?
Rasheed's reason is loss. The conspiracy took his younger sister Nadia.
Wow. So and when you say took, is she missing or have you seen the body?
I would say missing.
Just make a note to that effect, would you? You never know.
You never know.
And the question that generates for me, not just who it was, but what would you do to get your revenge?
Whatever it takes.
And that is life, limb,
all of the above.
Soul, the whole shebang.
The whole shebang.
Right. Gee whiz. Okay. Rasheed is all in. That explains why he's got that haunted look, I think.
Exactly.
Now, Jasmin, tell me why you chose to confront the conspiracy.
I kept coming across with anomalies when I was looking for sort of ISIS groups in 2015, and people would just try too hard to cover it up. I'm like, where there's smoke, there's fire. This is bullshit. So, and I think she sort of started following paper trails and then started following someone in real life and, in physical, and they disappeared in front of her in an alley. And it's like, what the hell is this?
So that has left you fascinated by the allure of the blasphemous unknown.
Yes.
And my question is, what would you give up to know more about them, about the vampires, about the conspiracy?
I don't know.
I mean, you've written down her health and you've threatened me with drinking and smoking. I want something a bit meatier than that, I'll be honest.
Yeah. If I said her innocence, would that have the context that, the venal human pawns should just happily blow them away because they're not human anymore?
Fine. Yeah. Her humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move along to Stefano. Stefano, why did you choose to confront the conspiracy when you became aware of it?
Because so he's a believer in God, the Christian ways, and so on. So vampires are kind of, as it says here, an anathema to them. So yeah, it's
great. So we've got a true believer, Catholic, I'm guessing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. What would it take for you to betray your belief in God?
I wrote down corruption of the soul, probably in a supernatural way. I think someone who has a belief system where he can be a criminal and also be a true believer in God. So it seems that the corruption has to be something substantial.
Yeah, I get that. I'm sure that that in his previous work, he always crossed himself and gave his victims an opportunity to pray before he put a bullet in the back of their head. Let's move along to Katerina. Katerina, why did you choose to confront the conspiracy?
So I think that Katerina knew for like quite a while that the conspiracy existed, that it was tied into Russian national interests in some way. Well, tell me if I'm like overstepping the bounds of the fiction. She accepted that. She was perfectly happy to, you know, coexist with vampires until the day that her superiors arranged, set her up to be fed to the vampires. She wasn't, it's not the betrayal that offends her. She accepts that as, you know, part of the intelligence game. If they had just put a bullet in the back of her head, that is all part of the, you know, part of the work that we do. But to be fed to vampires, like that is what you do to peasants, you know, to working class people, not to a senior analyst in the GRU.
I quite understand that. So what would entice you back? Because I mean, just so I'm clear, was it the GRU who fed you or tried to feed you?
Yeah. So she ultimately wants to go back. She wants to like deal with this conspiracy so that it's safe for her to return to her old work.
Okay. Does the GRU currently think that you were killed by a vampire? Or do they know that you are loose in the wind?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to leave that undefined. I think she's tried to create the impression that she's dead, but she's not sure how successsul that's been.
Okay, because that's almost certainly not her real name, is it? You know, that's not
No.
the name. No, I mean,
No.
of course not. And what? So precisely what would entice you back then? If what would the GRU have to offer you, or what would the conspiracy within the GRU have to offer you?
So I think there's like a particular senior officer who I think of as the one who betrayed me, who was responsible. If he was fed to the vampires, then I would feel safe to return.
Oh, right. Well, I think that you need to put in that little box on the character sheet then, you know, Oleg needs to die horribly. Yeah?
I'm very happy with that.
Okay. So there are another couple of questions further down. I'm not going to ask you about the relationships in the team until you've had a chance to see the team in action. So where I want to start is in London. It's rainy. It's always raining in my London. And
just a sec, Alan. We haven't done choose your final expertise yet.
Oh, sorry, I'd forgotten about that. You're quite right. Thank you. There is an opportunity for you to choose a final expertise just to balance your character and to balance the group. Is there, you know, shall we go left to right? What about Katerina? What is Katerina interested in having as her third area of expertise? Thanks for the reminder, Blake.
I think I'm tempted by negotiation. Is anybody else already good at that? No, I think, yeah, I mean, unless anyone else was very keen to take negotiation.
No, that's fine. And just so you know, fieldcraft is pretty vaguely defined. It's really, you know, it's what you learned on the military intelligence field course. So it is, you know, being a soldier, inverted commas. What about Stefano? What interests? He's got larceny and heavy weapons. What are you interested in, Stefano?
either fieldcraft or surveillance.
There's no surveillance in the team yet.
Yeah, I was thinking about maybe in shadowing somebody or something was something Stefano was good at. So yeah, I'll take surveillance.
I mean, no one's ever going to notice a big bloke in a black suit because that's the way the opposition dress. What about Jasmin?
What have we got? Already got tradecraft. What's authority?
Authority is it's this close to intimidation. So it's that sense of being the person in charge. It's the opposite of persuasion.
I don't sort of want to step on Katerina's negotiation though.
Well, persuasion is different. Negotiation, there's a give and a take. Persuasion is charm.
And engineering tech is blowing shit up.
Well, look, while you're thinking about it, let me move along and ask Rasheed. What is Rasheed thinking about?
I was thinking of grabbing engineering tech.
You are the man in the van, aren't you?
I am the man in the van.
You are the guy with the bag
the
full
hacking and the all the fun stuff.
Okay, so that gives Jasmin authority. Great, thank you for that. So yes, so London, where you are all currently in hiding, because while you found out the conspiracy almost certainly knows something about you. And one of the drivers for trying to take it down is that sooner or later, they're going to catch up with you. Now, in order to reflect the conspiracy's kind of mode of operations, this is a one shot. You will see on the top left of the character tab, the heat track. And this goes from the conspiracy being suspicious through to an all-out attack on you wherever you are. I'm going to mark suspicious all the way up, because we need a bit of pressure in a one shot, don't we? I also want to talk to you about your current state of mind, so to speak. There is, what I want to know is what's the most frightening thing that's happened to you, short of meeting a vampire? Shall we start with Rasheed?
Yeah, I mean, I think for Rasheed, it's. I mean, I didn't really give any thought to the circumstances under which his sister was taken, but it would be this kind of idea that there isn't anywhere safe. You know, like whatever happened, having lost the government connections, there's no kind of haven there. And this kind of feeling that the conspiracy can find you no matter where you are.
Yeah. Did they take your sister from home?
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty likely.
Okay. That strikes me as something that you need to kind of deal with routinely. And so what I'd like you to do is to go to the Seek Relief from the Horror tab. And I'd like to know how you most recently tried to numb the pain of that memory. Did you, you could tell us something about your anchor. You could verbally abuse, bully, or shame an NPC. You could beat an NPC up. You could indulge in meaningless sex. You could seek guidance from a mentor or confidant. You could get drunk. You could try to numb the pain with drugs. You can't do the last one because this is outside the team.
Sure. I think I would probably seek guidance. I think that this kind of, as someone who was kind of working behind a desk, these circumstances kind of take Rasheed out of his comfort zone.
So is this by any chance a GCHQ counselor who you've stayed in touch with, or is it somebody more private personal to you than that?
If I think it could be the counselor as long as I still had reason to trust them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, that they became a friend. Yeah.
Yeah, I dig that.
They might be the person that you told that you thought vampires had taken your sister.
Mm.
And that may be when they suggested that you needed to take a break. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
The way this normally works is it's a way to reduce stress. In a one shot at the start of the game, you will gain 1 stress. Yeah.
Okay.
So mark a second stress.
Yeah.
But you also get to roll. Now you can see in the dice pool, there's a green dice, which is the stress dice. Would you roll the stress dice to see what the consequences of this at the start of the game are?
Yeah. How do I roll on this platform?
If you click on that dice,
yeah.
a kind of re-roll button will appear at the bottom of the. See it?
Oh, yep, there it is.
Yep.
I rolled a 2.
Okay, 1 to 3. They see through your false contrition, or whatever else you're offering them. You have even betrayed your beliefs and all their faith in you. You cannot use your expertise until stress goes up again. You'll find on your character sheet, there's a little thing that says expertise available.
So
it is not available until stress goes up again.
Gotcha.
So clearly their approach, you know, her name's Jane, and Jane is saying to you, look, Rasheed, we've had this conversation before. Vampires don't exist, right? Get a grip. You know, do I need to set up a meeting with your doctor? What can I do to help?
Oh, nothing. No, just forget I said anything.
Well, it's getting more difficult to do that, Rasheed, because you won't let this thing go.
I know. Maybe you're right. Maybe I do need a break.
Look, you know, you can always talk to me. You know that. But, you know, I can't indulge these fantasies.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Jane.
And yeah, you leave that unsatisfactory meeting with Jane with your confidence rocked.
The expertise cannot be used. That applies to all 4 of them?
That includes everything.
Oh, geez.
So, Rasheed, you need to put yourself under a bit of pressure to get your mojo back.
All right.
Okay. Let's move along to, let's go to Jasmin. Jasmin, what's the most frightening, stressful, concerning thing that you've come up against apart from an actual vampire? I mean, you talked about someone disappearing in an alley.
I think when I was looking for like ISIS groups and informants and stuff, some of the stuff that I gave away when I went back to check on it, see if anyone else has followed up the action list, the whole thing's gone and no one discussed it.
Right.
So to sort of do that requires like 3 levels of people involved to just disappear. It's freaking gone.
So this means that
the claws are deep in French intel, if not NATO intel, so on.
And so
the scope of what I'm up against is like holy
enormous.
shit.
Now, how do you normally deal with that? Which of those secretly from the horror approaches do you normally take to just live with this anxiety? You know, are they watching you now?
Well, of course they are. I'm thinking she does like kickboxing, and on those days when it really gets to her, she goes into the training room hard and fast, and she's a bit rough.
Okay. Now, normally, as I say, you would use this to vent stress, but at the moment, because you are under stress, I'm going to give you a second, ask you to mark stress, and then roll the stress dice to see what the consequences of your last bout of kickboxing was. 1. You are disgusted with yourself. It just went over the top. This guy is left bleeding with a broken nose on the mat, and people have had to get in and restrain you. Yeah. You are disgusted with yourself. You cannot use your expertise until stress goes up again. This
Jolly
is
good.
all playing very nicely. Stefano, what about you? What's the most frightening thing that's happened to you since you found out about the conspiracy, short of an actual vamp?
I think back in the old country, the little chapel I used to go was burnt down by an enemy on the criminal side of business.
Right. Really so shocking, because that was that building part of your faith? Is that the building, is that the church that you always went to since you were a kid?
Exactly, yes.
And now it's just a smoking ruin. The bastards.
Mm-hmm.
That's stressful. Mark stress and tell me how you try to kind of just put that behind you. Which of those approaches?
Stefano beat up a goon in the organization, someone who made a mistake, but not a mistake that should be confronted like he did.
So you put him in hospital, really, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So you've marked stress. Roll the stress dice.
Stress dice is the green one?
The green one, yeah. Oh, my goodness me. Are we never going to get above a 3? So
did it even turn?
Yeah, I'm afraid I saw it move. So you too feel bad about that. You look back on that and you think, well, was that the professional thing to do?
Probably not.
And if nothing else, I think you conceive of yourself as a professional. It was when you did bad things, it was business.
Yeah.
So you too don't have your expertise available till your stress goes up again. Wow. Katerina, we're incredibly hopeful that you may still have your expertise at the end of this.
Hopeful, but not optimistic.
Is it that moment of betrayal that nags at you?
No, I think Katerina's deepest fear, like the worst thing she's ever experienced, is like the grinding poverty of her childhood. Like her real fear is being hungry.
Right. Yeah, and that's why the fur coat, the Louis Vuitton, and all the rest is so important to her.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yes. Okay. And what is her vice of choice to just, prove that she is still at the top?
Yeah, so any kind of luxuries, but I think specifically what she's doing right now is getting drunk. Like she's gone to an expensive bar. Maybe she was hoping that she would vent with meaningless sex tonight, but she's just in far too foul a mood. So it's just going to be getting drunk.
Yeah, and I think we see a couple of guys, maybe they come up and they try to muscle in, or maybe women, because she's a very attractive person. And yet, no, she's just shots of vodka, I guess. Okay, mark stress and roll the stress dice.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Now, come on, little green dice. You got to come up 6 sooner or later.
A 3.
Oh my goodness. You're gonna die in the opening scene.
Well, this is you're going to be well. The terrible thing is that unless you take a risk, you're a nasty drunk and you're ashamed of yourself. You cannot use your expertise until stress goes up again. Wow. So that really puts you on the spot, all 4 of you, because none of you are at your A game. But you get a package of information, as I say, convinces you that this person knows something about the conspiracy. And that package information says that there is a journalist called Olivia Liu who is in danger. She needs help. She needs to be saved from the conspiracy. But all that your informant can tell you, delivered by an anonymous encrypted message service, because you are all deeply embedded in the dark web, all that they can tell you is that she's in Marrakesh. And it is his handle, or its handle, or her handle is JH. So JH has given you a clue. And I've put that into Operation 1. what we're finding is that someone or something is in danger from the conspiracy. Determine the nature of the conspiracy threat and save them. So save Olivia Liu is your objective in this operation. She's in Marrakesh, but where in Marrakesh, you have no idea. So now each of you can have an investigative scene either here in London or in Marrakesh. I'll ask first if any of you want to have an investigative scene in London to try to work out some of the details of this operation. Okay, so let's go to Rasheed. Rasheed, what do we see in this scene that you set up for us?
Yeah, so sorry, I lost the tab I was looking for. Okay, so Olivia Liu is a journalist. So I want to kind of do a bit of research and find out, what I can about why she's there, if there's any particular group she's representing, what she looks like, so that we can find her. If she's there with a group, like an organization, they may have put her up somewhere. Just general kind of data gathering.
Okay, now the way that this dice pool works is that you always get to roll the dice in the middle, right? It's white in the way I've displayed it.
Okay, yep.
You would get to roll the orange dice because you're using research and you have expertise in research, but unfortunately your confidence is not at best right now. So you're only rolling the white dice. And the higher the number, the better. Yeah. So
I've got research as well. Can I assist? Or?
No, you'll have your own investigative scene.
Okay.
So the question is whether you want to include the stress dice and risk stress going up, but increasing the size of your dice pool and therefore increasing the chance of a solid success.
I mean, that seems like a win-win.
Don't you just love it when a mechanic plays into what you want to do?
Which one is so that's the green one, right?
The green one is stress, and you always get to roll the middle one.
So I can select both of those, yes. And let's roll both and see what happens.
Hey. Oh, wow, great. So if you look at the basic moves, you have just investigated. Yeah. So how do we see you investigating? What form does this research take? Is this, will you tell me?
Probably just Googling.
Yeah. And using your digital intrusion expertise to just dig under the surface of what Google tells you. Okay.
Yeah.
So the best result is a 6. The good news is that is not on your stress dice. If the best result is on your stress dice, then you have to roll for stress and risk it going up again. But you got a 6, so you get the bare minimum, and you can also get the answers to 2 questions. I'll deal with the but also in a moment. Yeah. The basic information is that she's freelance. Mm-hmm. She's been working in Europe for a long time. She's Chinese by origin, educated in the US, but she's been working in Europe, freelance, and the kind of stuff it does feel like she has an interest in mysteries. Yeah. So I'm going to add something in the details of this operation, that she's freelance, works across Europe, and has stories about, inverted commas, mysteries. Yeah. There we are. I can't spell, but you get the idea. Let us move to Jasmin. Jasmin, what does your investigative scene look like?
Can it be chronologically, like after Rasheed tells us what he found out, or?
Of course.
All right. Well, then I'm asking just word of mouth. My contacts in London, we are. Yeah. Is there anyone that sort of matches those things?
I'm sorry, I should have told Michael, you get 2 questions, right? So think about the 2 questions you want to ask me. I'll go all the way around and I'll come back for the questions, just so we all know what we've got to play with. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. So Jasmin does some just groundwork with her contacts
Yep.
in the intelligence and the shady bits and
Yep.
pieces. Okay. Well, that sounds like. Is there a particular person who's in this scene?
Yeah, maybe someone she's had dealings with before.
Okay.
They worked together on some, hunting down ISIS stuff before, so they know she's not like an Uber terrorist just because she's gone dark or whatever.
Do you want to know more about her? Because we've got Rasheed's doing the kind of background on her, or do you want to try and find out where she is? You know, she's in Marrakesh, but
yeah.
Okay.
Where and involved with who? Is there
Okay.
any rumors?
Fine. Well, let's have you roll to investigate. Normally your research would play off here, but sadly you don't have that expertise. So do you want to include your stress dice?
No.
Just the white dice then.
All right.
She is nervous, isn't she? Oh,
right. I didn't mean to roll stress as well.
No, I'm taking the 6 in the middle as the one that matters.
Yeah.
So so you get the basic information, which is, I think that she is in Marrakesh's. Your contact suggests that someone meeting her description has been seen in what I'm calling the entertainment district, but it's actually the old town. It's the tourist district of Marrakesh.
Okay.
Okay. That's the basic information you get. You two have 2 questions to ask me, so just sit on those for a moment while I go around everybody else. Let's go to Stefano. Stefano, do you want to do any of this in London, or do you want to wait until you get to Marrakesh?
No, I think so. I was thinking about putting me in the hospital room with the goon I put there, because he has connections to journalism in some way, maybe a friend or someone in the network who's also working or was working with our target.
Okay.
So I want to ask him about what he knows or heard about or can find out.
Okay, let's have you roll to investigate. You're only using the center dice unless you want to include your stress dice.
I think the situation has to be stressful when I have to confront that guy again, so I will include it.
Yeah, he's wishing he hadn't come to London.
Mm-hmm. So
okay, so another 6. You're rolling so well, folks. But because the 6 is on the stress dice, it is the highest result, so your stress automatically goes up by 1. It clearly is a challenge having this conversation. But the basic information is that he heard, or his friend heard, that Olivia, hang on, let me just put it in the details, was recently in Transylvania on a story, ... Okay? You can come back and ask me some more questions in a bit, Stefano. Finally, Katerina.
Real quick, because Stefano gained stress, he gets his expertise back, right?
He does. Sorry, I should have said. Yeah. So that's a perfect result. What about Katerina? Do you want to be asking questions in London, or do you want to be asking questions in Marrakesh?
I mean, unless anyone has any ideas for more leads that we can follow in London, I think I'm going to head to Marrakesh. And I think, I want to do some kind of legwork, some asking around in the part of town that we know she's been seen in. Especially if I can find where journalists would go to drink or something like that. I'm trying to kind of close in, and I'm both looking for anyone who can tell me anything about where she is, anything like that, where I'd find her, but also wanting it to get back to her that someone is looking for her. I want her to have that information.
Okay.
I'm hoping to draw her out to come to me.
Oh, that would be perfect, wouldn't it? So you are rolling the center dice. Do you want to include your stress dice?
Yeah. Let's see. Oh,
I don't think I saw the green one move.
No, I didn't. Sorry.
So you've got a 6 already, and now a 4 on the stress dice. So
Okay.
your stress does not go up automatically, but you did get a 6. So you're going to get 2 more questions to ask me about this. But I will tell you that I think I'm going to tell you that someone says that someone meeting her description has been seen at a hotel in the tourist area. And I'm not going to give you the name of the hotel. Yeah, no, I'll give you the name. I think it's called the Riad Rouge. Riad Rouge. So let's add hotel Riad Rouge. Oh, bum! I've managed to overtype that. I tell you what, you put the hotel is called the Riad Rouge. Okay, so that's where you're starting. Let me go back round to Rasheed now. You have 2 questions left to ask.
Sorry,
Oh.
can I just ask, how do I spell Riad Rouge?
Oh, sorry, R-I-A-D. I'll put it in the chat. It's easier to type in there.
All right.
There you go.
Thanks.
Let's go back round to Rasheed. You've got 2 questions to ask me. Given the setup we've reached so far, what do you want to know?
Yeah, are they just any questions?
Any question based on this basic setup.
Okay. What kind of quote unquote mysteries has Olivia done stories on before?
Unexplained disappearances, usually, of people. Yeah.
Okay. Hope the details cleared again.
Yeah, sorry, I've done the same thing.
Isn't Google Sheets great for extended text? I must think again about whether that needs to be a whole set of separate lines. Anyway, so that's your first question. Do you want to ask me the second question now, or do you want me to come back to you?
Come back around.
Okay. So we know that these mysteries are around disappearances. Let's go to Jasmin. What question? Because you also have 2 questions to ask me. What questions do you want to ask?
Is she traveling with anyone else, or is she known to regularly travel and hang out with other people? Is she like a member of PLO or whatever?
No, she's a loner.
Right.
Yeah. Do you want to ask me a second question now, or do you want to? I will point out that we know where she is. You can do some thinking about what the significant threat you might face is. I'll come back to you for your second question. Let's go to Stefano. Stefano, I think you also have 2 questions, don't you? So
Yes,
do you want to ask me your first one?
Yeah, my first question would be, how did she prepare for her story? Did she bring something out of the ordinary with her?
I think what I can tell you is that she was in Transylvania and then she disappeared. And now you're told she's in Marrakesh. So I don't think she's done. I think she's on a run. Okay. And then let's come to Katerina. Do you want to ask me a question? Something else maybe about your legwork in Marrakesh?
Yeah. Do we know? Have I been able to find out if has she met anyone in Marrakesh?
I think it's, you're trying to draw her out and you're going to places where journalists normally congregate. What I can tell you is that she is keeping her head down. She's not going to any of those places you would expect, a visiting journalist to visit. She is certainly not approaching you, though you've made it clear that you're looking for her. Your conclusion is that this is a very scared woman. Okay?
Yeah.
Do you want to ask your second question now, or do you want to hang on?
I think I'm going to hold on for now.
Okay, we go back round for a final round of questions about, we know that she's staying at this hotel. It's not a particularly great hotel. It's in the tourist district. It's probably a bit run down. You need to save her, Rasheed. Is there anything else you want to know that might help you do that?
I guess the only other question that I would have is why Marrakesh?
Marrakesh is kind of North Africa's open city. None of the competing intelligence agencies have a particular control here. Since the Arab Spring, it's all got a bit loose. The one thing I will tell you is that the Moroccans take their foreign visitors and the money they bring very seriously. They take their tourism industry very seriously. And so if she's in danger, she's going to be in danger from some professionals. This is not going to be just a bunch of local goons. So I'm going to give you that the significant threat is likely to be special forces contractors. Okay. Let's go to Jasmin. Do you want to try to now? We're at the point now where you can begin to describe obstacles you might face in saving Olivia. Yeah, because you'll notice on the operation tab, there's a list of obstacles with your name against one of them. This is an opportunity for you to define an obstacle that will certainly crop up in this operation, in which you might be the spotlit character. Yeah, so you want to pick something you think you can solve.
Okay, I was going to ask, has Katerina attracted attention of a group?
Has Katerina attracted attention of a group?
Yes, because she went in before us and was asking around. So when we arrive, are we hearing about, oh, blah, 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 is looking for this nosy Russian that's been swanning around?
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. That's an interesting question. I think I will give you an obstacle for that one, Jasmin, is that Katerina has attracted some attention. So it looks like though Katerina set out, now I'm not sure how you think you might solve that, but I'm going to tell you that. You can add to it if you want to. Katerina's been putting herself about saying, you know, as much as she can, you know, I'd like to talk to Olivia Liu in not so many words. And it looks like somebody somewhere has noticed that. Yep. Okay. Let's go round to Mario. You have a question left, Mario. Sorry, Stefano. What do you want to ask? I'm curious whether anyone's staking out the hotel.
The hotel's in Marrakesh, is it?
Yeah.
So that's okay. My second question can be because I thought the question has to be what I asked the guy in the hospital.
Oh, no. I've deliberately come back to you now that we've moved to Marrakesh.
Okay, cool. So yeah, why not? I got the surveillance expertise.
You have.
Why not use it?
Well, the question I will give you is that Olivia Liu, and you will find a picture of her in the Faces and Places tab. Olivia Liu comes out rarely. And when she does, she doesn't stay out long. You know, she goes out, she gets food, she takes it back to the hotel and eats in the hotel. You know, she is clearly very frightened that somebody out there is looking for her. It may be a sinister Russian. We don't know yet that she's afraid of. But yeah, she is not leaving that hotel very often.
Okay.
Okay. And finally, Katerina, how do you want to use your second question?
Yeah, so I imagine myself like reading about both what Olivia Liu's written and as much about her biography as I can find out. What I'm looking for is some sort of hook. And my question is, like, how can I get her to trust me? Like what?
Yeah, I think that you'd have to convince her that you're not the person she needs to be afraid of, right? So I'm going to put down as an obstacle here. You need to convince her you are not the threat she's frightened of. Okay? Mm-hmm. So there's our setup. But now you all rolled a lot of sixes in there, didn't you? So one of you already took a bit of stress. That was Stefano, because the stress dice came up higher. The rest of you all rolled 6. And if you look at the move, it says, the trouble is when you roll a 6, you learn a lot but this begins to tell you that actually the conspiracy is everywhere. So let's go around to Rasheed. Rasheed, all of this ties in with this idea of people just being disappeared off the street. This, she thinks she's safe in that hotel. She doesn't come out. She stays in her room most of the time, it seems, according to Stefano. And yet, she's still not safe. Would you roll for stress, please? Now, that is, you roll the green dice, and if it comes up higher than your current stress will go up by 1.
Higher than or equal to or higher?
Higher than.
All right.
Yeah, so, oh, gee whiz, there's a 6. The 6 is the curse of this game. Congratulations, Mark Stress, Rasheed, because this is just shaping up as exactly like your sister. Jasmin, somebody is now watching Katerina, is your conclusion. You're pretty convinced people are watching you all the time already. So would you roll for stress, please?
Okay. No, I wanted to see that one, not the bloody 3. Okay.
That is higher than your current stress. Stress goes up by 1. Stefano, your stress went up automatically because your stress dice was higher. You don't have to roll for stress. But Katerina, you did roll a 6 and it wasn't on the stress dice. So when Jasmin, who's been doing kind of counter observation, so she's been watching your back, and Jasmin is now telling you that she thinks you've got a tail. Roll for stress, please.
I definitely clicked on the green die. I don't know why it's doing that.
I'll take the 1. I don't mind.
Yeah, okay.
It's roll a 6-sided dice. Gee whiz.
Yeah.
Your stress does not go up by 1. You can cope with that. If they come too close, you'll kill them.
Yeah, but I still don't feel very good.
Okay, now that I think at the end of that investigation, we now know where she is. We have an idea that there may be professionals after them. We're worried that Katerina's cover might not be as secure as it looked initially. And we will then move into the operation after we take our first break. Shall we have a decent break of 10 minutes at this point, just to make a cup of coffee or something and keep Michael awake? So shall I see you at, shall we say, 1:45? Yeah, I'll see you then. Okay, so we're back from our break, and the old town of Marrakesh is behind me. The Riad Rouge is possibly this building and extends behind. What I've just clarified that there's a lot of interest in Katerina, but whether that's because she's asking about an Asian journalist or because she's Katerina is unclear. And Olivia rarely leaves her hotel room. The other thing I want to tell you is that because you rolled all those 6s, each of you gets to mark 1 intel. You'll find the intel track about halfway down the keeper. That is a resource you can spend to define stuff about the operation or to define stuff about the supernatural. Or you can just sit on it until you need it and then use it. Okay? So, how are you going to save Olivia Liu? Let me start with Katerina. What thoughts have you had, Katerina? Because you've been doing a lot of the kind of open leg work on this. What's your thinking?
Well, we figured out that she's scared. She's in hiding. She doesn't want to come out. She doesn't have any reason to trust us. We need to show her that, we're not the danger, that we can, even that we can help protect her. My first instinct is to try and decapitate one of our enemies and, present the evidence to her. But I understand that civilians often prefer a subtler approach. But
okay.
Yeah, I think that if we were able to take out some of the people who are hunting Katerina, perhaps hunting Katerina, certainly hunting Olivia, that would go some way to convincing her to trust us. Ultimately, I am happy to just knock her out and put her in a bag and carry her away to safety.
Rasheed, given that you want something different to happen to her than happened to your sister, what's your response to the knock her on the head, put her in a bag, take her away?
It's not great. I mean, it might work, but I don't love becoming that which we're fighting.
Very good point, Rasheed. Very good point. So something a bit more subtle then?
A bit more subtle.
Like what?
Well, I was thinking, like, I think the first step from my point of view is figuring out who's actually after her.
Okay.
Which could mean, asking around a bit, seeing if anyone's actually trailing Katerina.
Well, I mean, you could
if there's
spend your point of intel to ask me that very question.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that.
Okay, so what I can tell you, Rasheed, is that there are some locals, it looks like, staking out the hotel. When you go to relieve Stefano, who's been, who has staked out the hotel, maybe you notice that at the point when you're switching, there's another pair of people switching, and they seem to be sitting in a cafe. Just, if you're sat in a cafe over there watching, they're sat in a little street cafe over there over a cup of coffee. And you think that there are some local hoods who are staking the place out. Okay. Whether they're the same people who are following Katerina, I think is a different question. Okay. So it looks like you're not the only people interested in Olivia. Jasmin, what does that do in terms of your thinking about how this operation is going to play out?
I don't know, could I spend sort of intel doing sort of research on like the tactical setup of the area and like ways in and out of the building? Is there a sewer tunnel? Is there...
I won't make you spend intel from that. I think it's pretty clear there's a front entrance and a back entrance. The front entrance is there. There's a back entrance kind of in the middle of this block into an alley where it looks like, that's where staff go in and out, or at least, non-front of house staff. I won't make you spend an intel for that. That's just wandering about.
Well, in that case, can I spend intel watching the staff and seeing if I can get a disguise going and just get one of the staff uniforms, pretend I'm a cleaner or something?
Okay. I'm very happy that when this operation kicks off, you can try to disguise yourself as one of the cleaners.
I'm going to get a staff thing for Katerina because she's got negotiations. She's the talker.
Okay. So what? So just so I'm clear, you want to spend intel to get a staff uniform?
Yeah.
Now, I'll be honest with you, it's a pretty low class hotel. So uniform is local dress.
Okay.
Yeah. So anybody with disguise should be able to pass as a local with a bit of help and attention. Okay. But yeah, that you can have that way in. Fine. So we got a way in. We've got people watching the front. Stefano, what about you? What's your thinking about how this operation is going to play out?
I was also thinking about kidnapping her to get her out of the
I mean, that's straight out of the Cosa Nostra playbook, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. But I'm open to talking to her at first. So maybe breaking in when she gets out to get food, sitting in her hotel room, waiting when she comes back, and then talk to her and just say, maybe we should change the hotel or the country. Please come with us. And if she doesn't, so.
Okay, so we think we're going to way into the back entrance. It's not clear yet who's going to take that. We're slightly concerned that if Katerina surfaces, maybe she might have a tale of her own. So how does this play then? How does this play? Katerina, how do you see this running? It looks like instant kidnap is not currently popular with the team. Oh, Stefano.
On the other hand, we could just wait for the bad guys to try catch her, so we get to them by doing just that, waiting.
Oh, that's quite a clever idea. How, Katerina, you wanted to bring me the head of an opposition. Currently, you've got a couple of guys that you've got as targets, but what about waiting for them to come after her?
I mean, I worry that we're putting her in too much danger at the point where we draw the people who she's hiding from right to her. Like, I see the appeal. I think that maybe this, like, what I'm leaning towards is that we try and draw the people who are following me into an ambush, and then take them out. You know, see if that tells us anything more about what's going on.
Okay.
On the other hand, I'm reluctant to do that because it maybe draws us away from keeping an eye on the hotel and making sure that she's safe.
Well, I suppose. Go on.
Sorry, if Katerina and like Stefano want to do that, and then Jasmin and Rasheed go into the hotel and talk to her.
I'd be good with that plan. I was going to say I'm a little uncertain. I mean, if she's been going out to get meals, I'm a little uncertain why they haven't snatched her up already. If they've been watching her for, you know.
I mean, it's literally she walks across the road to a little kind of cafe, probably the cafe you're sat at.
Yeah, that's enough time to snatch somebody.
Busy streets, you know. But it's an interesting question. Does that inform what you want to do, Rasheed?
No, I think I mean, I still think that distracting them while other people go inside is a good plan.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, that sounded like Katerina and Stefano are going to distract the watchers or try to engage with the watchers somehow.
Yeah, I mean, ideally drawing them to somewhere that we can like take them out, like somewhere away from other people and where we have some sort of tactical advantage.
Oh, there's almost certainly an alley off, to get into the middle of this large structure that's behind me. So yeah, I mean, you can find an alley.
Like, to be honest, part of the reason I like this plan is because I want my stress to increase so I can use my expertise again. So getting into a gunfight with some bad guys sounds like a good plan to me.
Okay.
Not everyone may have those priorities.
Oh, well, but Katerina's an independent woman. So what I'm seeing then is Katerina quite ostentatiously turning up at that hotel, and then hoping that when she and are you together, or is just Stefano watching Katerina's back?
I mean, I think my preference would be that Stefano is like positioned to like tail these guys into the alley so we catch them between us or something like that.
Okay, so it's who spies on the spies here. Katerina wants to be the bait. You want to draw some watchers, and then Stefano wants to watch the watchers. Yeah. And then hopefully, when you go into this alley, there'll be you, them, and Stefano comes in the back of the alley. Does that seem like, okay, that I've got a clear idea what's going to happen. And the timing then of how Rasheed and Jasmin are going to have the conversation, are going to get into the hotel at least. What are you thinking? Is this before or after?
As soon as we see, during. As soon as Katerina starts to head towards that cafe, we'll go in the back entrance of the hotel.
Okay, I'm with that. So let's have that happen. So Katerina, you make to go to the hotel. You're ostentatiously looking about. You're breaking all your tradecraft rules, all your fieldcraft rules. You are just being, spy. And then you set off down this crowded street. There are bikes and scooters weaving their way through the crowds. There are tourists at little stalls built into these structures. And Stefano, I have to ask, are you still in the black suit? Or in these climate, is it a white suit?
No, it's still the black suit, or at least the what's it called, the shirt of it. But I think I put something over it which is more local. Okay.
So there's some kind of jacket over the top that makes you look less like a member of the FBI or the Cosa Nostra. Okay. Yeah. And then the pair of you, just to say, you all have comms. So you've all got an earbud. You're always in perpetual communication with one another. And so I think probably Stefano, the signal comes through, okay, I'm on them, they're following her. And it does look like two guys that you hadn't spotted. They're not the watchers at the front. It was two other guys you hadn't spotted who are now following Katerina. Whether they're connected to them, I don't know. And that's the signal for you two to go in the back, dressed as locals. I think probably I do need to know how that goes. Do you have any expertise in disguise that you can use? Not really. I suppose that given Rasheed's ethnic background, he looks local.
Yeah, local enough, I think.
Yeah. So I'm not going to make him roll for disguise, but I think, Jasmin, you are an elegant French woman. Let's see how you go as a cheap hotel cleaner. So let's have you roll to do something else, i.e. to con your way in. So you are on, unless you want to use, oh, you can't use expertise. So you're only rolling the middle dice.
Can I roll? I can't roll authority to.
Sorry, you should be able to because you've gone up in stress.
So you have, yeah, you should have, yeah. I hadn't noticed that.
So okay. I was thinking I can use authority to act like it's a health commission inspection.
Health inspection.
Yeah.
Yeah, go with it. Yeah, let's have you roll to do something else then. So you're rolling with expertise. Would you like to include your stress dice?
No, not yet.
Okay, so the middle dice and the orange dice. Okay, a 4 is success with no complications, no benefits. So you're in, you flashed them some, piece of paper that says, I'm here to do a health inspection. I need to see around the place. And so where do you want to see first, madam? Says the manager.
Guest rooms. It's important where you have a good image to customers. Otherwise, no money. What's the point?
Okay. And where is Rasheed going with his bucket and mop?
I just say, come along, as if he's assisting me.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, right. Right. So he's not dressed as a cleaner.
Well, yeah.
Rasheed, you tell me what you do. Oh, you are muted.
Sorry, I was saying I thought I was just dressed as a local.
Yes, you're a local cleaner.
Yeah, so I'll follow her if she flexes authority. But if not, then I will. It occurs to me we don't actually know what room she's in.
You don't.
Whoops.
So I guess my move would be to look like I know what I'm doing and go and try and find the check-in records.
Okay. No, hang on.
We had a complaint.
Hang on, Jasmin. I'll invite you back in. You've gone off to with the manager to look at the rooms. So let's go to Rasheed. So Rasheed, it's a very simple kind of check-in book on the front desk as you kind of wander through. But you need to get a look at it. How are you going to get a look at it? Because there's a receptionist. Do you just ask?
Yes.
So I go on. Talk to me.
I was going to say, since as far as the manager knows, there is an inspection happening. I can just phrase it as like, oh, we need to know which rooms are empty so that we can inspect them without disturbing guests.
Okay. I think I'm going to make you roll to investigate just to see. I mean, I'm not sure that your expertise covers this kind of small talk and smooth.
Probably not.
Yeah. So I think you're rolling the white dice in the middle. Do you want to include your stress dice?
Ooh. So what happens if I max out on stress?
You crack. You get to describe a last action before you either are taken out or you become one of the conspiracy's pawns.
Ooh, I won't spend one now then.
I mean, at
I
any
won't do
time,
stress now.
if you could engineer a seek relief from the horror moment into any scene, you're welcome to do it. I mean, is this the time when you tell us something new about your relationship with your parents so I can put them in the conspiracy crosshairs?
I mean, that does sound pretty great. Well, sorry, what would because that would be seek relief with saying something new about your relationship. Gotcha.
Yeah. I just want to point it out.
Yeah, okay. I will do the stress die now and plan to
oh, you're going to roll with the stress die first.
I'm going to roll with the
worry.
stress die.
Okay,
and then
fine.
I'll plan to decompress once we get out of this situation.
When you get out of this. Yeah, okay. So that is success without complication. The guy says, oh yeah, I know. And he flips it around and he says, look, rooms 8, 12, and 14 are empty. And of course, while he's pointing at those, you are skimming down looking for the name Liu. And you find that she's in room 7. Yeah?
Very kind of her not to use an alias.
Exactly. She's clearly no professional. No wonder she's in hiding. So let's go back to Jasmin. The manager is all over you, Jasmin. And he says, yes, do come and look at the rooms. And at that point, he looks sideways into reception, where he sees a cleaner he doesn't necessarily recognize, but seems to be showing great initiative. And he's heard them say which ones are empty, and he's thinking, well, that means that they will have been cleaned, when people left. I'll take her to an empty room. And so he takes Jasmin upstairs to room 12 to give you an idea of just how good these rooms are. And you walk to room 12, which is up the corridor from all the other rooms. So Jasmin, you've distracted the manager. The manager is not going to be any problem at all. But as you go past room 7, the door opens and a woman you recognize as Olivia Liu comes out. Rasheed, you're at the top of the stairs up to the floor at the point where you see her come out and walk towards you. Let's cut there and go back to Katerina approaching an alley. Now, Katerina, are you just walking blindly looking for an alley, or are you, deploying all your available skills?
I mean, I would have scouted out like the location in advance, so I know exactly where I'm leading them to.
Okay.
I'm on comms with Stefano, who can see them behind me, so I trust that I don't need to actually physically look back, that anything I need to know, he's going to tell me. So yeah, I'm just going to plunge on into this alley.
Okay, well, let's have Stefano first, then see what else he sees. If you're relying on Stefano just to be your eyes behind you, so you're not having to look very obvious. So Stefano, you're rolling to ask me a question about what else is going on in this street, I guess. Mm-hmm. I think that you have surveillance, so you are ideally suited for this. So you are rolling with expertise, so that's the white dice and the orange dice. Do you want to include your stress dice?
Nope, not right now.
Okay, just the 2 dice. Let's see what happens. That is a 4, which is success with no problems. So the basic information is that these two are not worried about being followed. They are on Katerina. But I can tell you that there are more than two. They're running a box tail. So what they've got is they've got these two people are on her, but there are other watchers that are coming in, joining them for another 50 yards and then melting away while somebody comes in. There are two people ahead of her, these two people behind her, and there are at least four others who you see taking part in this tale.
Will I tell that via earpiece to Katerina?
Katerina, how does that impact on your thinking?
I mean, I don't love it, but I think I'm going to stick with the plan.
Okay. So there is that alleyway, yeah? And I tell you what, Stefano, I will tell you something else. You see one of them just touching his ear. So it could well be that they have comms too.
Yeah.
So Katerina, that alleyway is getting closer, and I think in the movie we're seeing it from your point of view. We're seeing people coming in past you, and then we can see this alleyway getting closer and closer and closer. That's where you're going to turn left. Do you turn left into the alleyway?
So I think I do change the plan at the last second.
Okay.
I decide that I do not want to be in that alleyway with a potentially unknown number of tails. That's beyond the odds that I wanted. But I am still going to step into the alley, but rather than walk down it and try and draw them in, I'm going to stop immediately, and I'm just looking to take one out with hand, punch one in the face immediately as he comes out, and start the fight right out in the street, draw them all out where hopefully they'll be reluctant to start shooting.
That's fine. So you turn into it's a narrow, shadowy alley. So you turn in looking like you're going to just walk down the alley. And Stefano, you will see the two guys behind, look at one another briefly, clock that she's gone right down this alley, and turn swiftly into it. So let's go straight to Katerina as these guys come around the corner. You are engaging with the basic move called Confront the Conspiracy or its Pawns.
Yeah.
So you want to fight or shoot the threat? Say what success would look like. You've told me you want to punch him and get him out into the street.
Yeah, so I mean, if this isn't too far in terms of what I can describe as success, I want to take one of them out entirely and sort of stagger the other one back into the street.
Okay, let's see how well that goes. So you are going to roll the middle dice. You have expertise in hand-to-hand. So you're rolling with expertise.
No, not at the moment. I'm not.
Oh, you're still struggling.
Yeah.
So stress dice?
Yeah.
Go for it then.
Absolutely.
Don't you just love it when your stress goes up?
Yeah.
So stress goes up. You will have your expertise back next time. And the outcome for that is you succeed with no obvious complication or benefit. And what we see you do is we one goes down in a heap, and the other one you kind of maneuver into the street. So there's now a bit of a fracas in the street between a local and a tourist. Yeah. Stefano, you see that. What do you do?
I think I already draw my gun. When I get that right, I got here 6 boxes to check, and I can just define that I got that with me.
I'll come to that. As long as I know you're drawing your gun, I'll come to equipment and gear in a moment. Let's cut back to the hotel where you've just walked past the room that Olivia has come out of, Jasmin, and she is now walking towards you, Rasheed, as you go to clean another room, inverted commas. Who acts first? Jasmin, do you dump the manager and turn round?
Yeah.
Yeah? And he's, oh, madam, no, you, and Rasheed, what do you do as you see Olivia walking towards you?
How does Olivia look, I guess is my question.
I will tell you she looks worried.
Okay.
Preoccupied even.
I don't want to...
Not like sick or beaten up or anything?
No. Go on, Rasheed.
Just stressed. I want to block her path, but not in a threatening way. And I just want to I just want to be like, Olivia, you're in danger. My name's Rasheed Malik. I'm here to rescue you.
Brilliant. While I block the corridor with my mop.
Exactly.
Okay, I think that is rolling to do something else. So do you have expertise that you think is going to make you particularly convincing that you can use?
No.
No. You know,
No,
the
I
socially
don't.
awkward Rasheed
Yeah.
finds himself having to convince the target that, don't
Don't know
worry,
how I
I'm not
ended
a
up here.
threat. So you are not rolling with expertise. So do you want to include your stress dice?
Yeah, I do. This is an important roll. Oh, come on, grab those dice. Hey.
Oh, wow. This guy, in the words, you succeed brilliantly, and the GM will agree with you what extra benefit you get. So what do you want to happen as a result of this that would count as an extra benefit? Because she's going to go with this.
Extra benefit. She already has a plan for where we should be going.
Okay.
Because we absolutely don't.
Okay. She says, have you come from Hassan Surfat? And there's hope, glowing hope in her eyes.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, thank God, thank God. Quickly, there's little time till my appointment with him. And you are my escort.
Yes.
And so what do you just dump the mop and bucket and
Yup.
just leave with her?
We're going.
Jasmin, the manager is saying, "Oh, madam, I must show you room 12."
I scream at him, clean up that room, and then I just keep following Rasheed.
And just leave the hotel. Okay. She says, "I have an address. He got me an address. So is that where we're going?" And she shows you an address. Rasheed.
Yeah, that looks right to me.
I
don't think the location's changed.
Now it's clear that she's not entirely certain where it is, and she thinks you would be, but you could just walk down a street.
Yeah, I mean, my plan right now is for us to get out of here and meet up with the others. And
Okay. Oh,
figure
right.
it
So
out
you're
from
going to
there.
walk down the same street that they went down, because you know where Katerina had her planned alley. So you're going to follow them.
I guess I don't know that. I guess
No,
we didn't really
I'll
set
say
a
back
rendezvous
way.
point.
Yeah, I'll say back door.
Yeah.
We're not going out the front door. That's
Yeah.
Okay,
Makes
out the
sense.
back door. Which probably, because all of the alleyways will connect at some way in here, in the center of this block. So yeah, you're hustling Olivia, and Olivia looks behind as Jasmin kind of says, back door. And she says, is she with you?
Yeah, she's with me.
Because it must be said, you look too awkward to be a threat, but Jasmin looks like a cool professional. But she goes with it because you've got a brilliant success. The trouble is that she tells you, have you seen the people who followed me from Romania?
No. Have we?
An enormous Englishman and a Romanian woman. Will you know that they're not behind us?
We can protect you. We're good at protecting people.
Rasheed, you know you rolled that 6.
Yeah.
And it says, but also mark intel as you discover more about the war you're waging.
Oh, great.
Scary, isn't it? Roll for stress.
Oh no.
So you get some intel for that 6.
Just the one die.
Just the one die. But you're cool. You're cool with that. But it looks like there are a couple of other people after her that you have no idea about so far. Okay. So where are you heading? Is this a good time? Are you going to try and find the others on the street or take her to a safe house?
Oh, we should go to a safe house.
Yeah, if we got comms, we'll say we're going to the safe house.
Yeah.
Okay. So Katerina, you go out into you push this guy into the alley. There's a bit of a fight. Stefano is looking at the other watchers and they seem uncertain what to do. I think it's fair to say, Stefano. You've got a gun kind of just, you know, under your jacket, just in case it's called pear-shaped. And this guy is clearly Katerina. He wasn't expecting that, but he looks past you into the shadowy alley as if seeing someone. He's looking at you and he goes and takes a step back. What do you do? Katerina, you are muted if you're...
Yeah, well, okay, I want to like do a judo throw where I like pick up the guy who I like shoved backwards and then like throw him by turning 180 degrees. So as I throw him, I can see what was behind me.
Oh, very cool. I'm not going to make that confront the conspiracy and its pawns. I'm going to make that do something else because it's kind of cool. So roll to do something else. I don't think you're at risk from him because he's scared shitless, either of you or what he's just seen in that alleyway.
All right. So
you're rolling with expertise because you have hand to hand. Do you
Yeah.
want to include your stress dice?
Yeah, why not?
Go for it. Oh, that's a 5. So you pick him up and you just fling him into the alleyway where there is a burly man, a burly figure in the shadows. Let me see. Do I have a picture of him? Yes, I do. I've added him to the faces and places. He's a burly, tattooed individual with a shaven head, and he is well muscled. And you see this, you know, you do this, and you would expect him to flinch, yeah? But instead, his hand shoots out like lightning, catches the guy by the neck, and simply throws him against the wall. I'm going to tell you something about this threat. This threat is clearly has great strength. Now, if you go to the threat tab, I am revealing a power of a threat, okay? Great strength and great speed, okay? We'll come back to you. Stefano, you've seen this go on, and you see Katerina in an elegant judo throw this guy into the alley, and the guy then kind of hits the wall, and his trajectory changed by 90 degrees. He was going one way and then wallop, he falls into the street unconscious. What do you do, Stefano?
Well, at first I acknowledge that Katerina is doing well. So because in the seconds before I was like, okay, do I pick the assault rifle and just call suppressing fire? But
well, let's talk about gear, shall we?
Yeah.
Now, because you are all currently trying to remain below people's radar, you are light loaded. If you go moderate loaded, you will have attracted attention. So given that the whole spin of this was low key undercover, I'm going to make you have light. You can select items, and as you select items, you will fill up gear slots. The number of gear slots you fill up depends on the number of little black boxes in the item you choose. It's a bit like Forged in the Dark. You don't choose the equipment until you need it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you've got your handgun. Yeah, because everyone has a handgun. You want automatic weapons, you will need to start talking to your contacts locally. Yeah, because Morocco is tight on protecting its tourists.
Yeah. So on the two other guards, they are confused.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that the two guys who were the immediate follows are now out. They're taken out. One by Katerina and the other one by whatever's in that alley.
Mm-hmm.
And the other handful are clearly just standing back because this is not what they were expecting, right? Whatever's happening is not what they were expecting. It's above their pay grade. So do you want to do anything or do you want to carry on observing? Because no one's rumbled you yet.
Yeah, exactly.
You are about 50 yards back, though.
Katerina didn't give me a sign or anything. So for now, I think I'll stand back too, because maybe if there's backup needed, then I'll be there.
Okay. Okay. So Katerina, there is this hulking, he's not, actually he's well muscled. It would be unfair to say he's hulking in the alleyway, and he looks at you, and the kind of obvious thing for him to do would be to come at you. And he doesn't. He stays in the alleyway. What do you do, Katerina?
I mean, the first thing that I'm going to do is use the comms to tell the others that I have a suspected non-human in the alley. Make sure you get Olivia to safety. Can I conclude that he's staying, is he staying in the alley potentially because he wants to stay in the shadows and doesn't want to come out into the sunlight?
I think
is that something I might suspect?
Because this is a one shot, I'm going to give you that ultraviolet light is a deterrent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, this isn't Oleg, is it?
No, it's not Oleg. I think I'm keeping Oleg in my back pocket. So I think he does, you can see him looking at you, and he's looking around as if to say, how close could I get to her without stepping out into the full sunlight?
I'm just going to start taunting him and mocking him, saying that he's too scared to confront a human woman. What's wrong with you?
I think that has to be an example of do something else. Let's see you taunt him, because he's a big bloke, and he looks like he can handle himself. So negotiation, you have expertise in.
Yeah.
What are you offering him if he comes into the sunlight?
I mean, like a fight. Like he wants some of this, right? That's what I'm offering.
Okay, roll with expertise.
All right.
Stress die, up to you.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to use the stress die for this one because I'm actually stressed. Oh.
Yeah, you are stressed. That 4 means that you can see him getting angry. This is an individual with poor impulse control. And therefore that 4 in your stress dice does drive up your stress by 1 as he steps out, and he doesn't kind of explode in flames or anything, but he comes at you. So
I was really hoping for some explosions right now.
Yeah, if only he was a full proper vampire. Let's go back to Rasheed and Jasmin and Olivia. You're hustling her through the back alleys to a safe house. If you go top right of the character tab, you'll find a safe house. Jasmin, I think you're probably more likely to have picked the safe house than Rasheed. Would you briefly describe this place and say who's vulnerable nearby?
I think it's like a 2-story sort of mud brick building. It's probably only like a street away from there's like a big museum smack bang in the middle of Marrakesh. So I think if there's like there's plenty of people and traffic around during the day. So if there's any big explosions, the general public are going to get hurt.
Fine. What reassures you about this place, Rasheed?
Sewer tunnel.
No, Rasheed.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I like sewer tunnel though. I was actually thinking similar.
Sewer tunnel. ... Catacomb? ? It's an ancient city. Why isn't it perfect, Jasmin?
Well, like very, very basic furniture. It's not comfortable.
Oh no, that's not a big enough threat. What makes it a risky place to be?
It changes. I thought maybe it changes hands a lot of like always foreigners. So the locals always know there's people with money in there, easy targets for burglars and pickpockets and stuff.
Locals know there are foreigners in there, fine. Now, the other thing about the safe house is it has a benefit. It could come equipped with automatic weapons, heavy weapons, or tech toys, yeah? I'm not going to ask you to make that choice now. We might see how developments a street or so away go. So, Katerina, he comes out and he goes at you, right? So you are going to be confronting the conspiracy or its pawns. You are going to be rolling with expertise. You can include your stress dice if you want to, but he is a threat. He could hurt you. So do you see that there are 3 reddish, pinkish dice on the right of the pool? Those are failure dice. Those are his dice that you're going to roll for him, okay? Now, he is a supernatural threat with great strength. Every supernatural threat rolls the top right pink dice. The more starred powers they have, the more dice they roll. So he is currently rolling the pink dice and the middle dice. So you are rolling everything in the top 5. You with me? You would like him to roll less well than you. Okay. So you got a 4 on your stress die, which is that he is immensely strong. You know, you kind of, well, how do we see on screen that he is much stronger than he really ought to be? What do we see that demonstrates this to the audience?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Katerina, sort of desperately looking around, what does she see? Like, she picks up a brick or something and she's ready to like smash him with it, and he like just raises a hand and the brick crumbles as he hits it.
Yeah, absolutely. So so your stress goes up by 1 because your stress die was the higher of your die. He rolled a 6, which is higher than yours, so you are going to take a consequence, but you have succeeded in hurting him, just not putting him down. And that effect for you is, can you see on the basic moves, there's a consequences box near the bottom. If any failure die rolls equal to or greater than your highest roll, then roll 1d6 for consequences. You will add 3 if they are goons, mooks, or 2 if they're leaders. He is above those. Yeah, so you are adding nothing to this dice. You really want to roll high.
Okay. This could be the end of for Katerina. Let's see how we go. So just 1 green die, right?
Fine. At 2, the consequences are dire. Agree with the GM if it's bloody and you'll die without swift medical treatment, or painful and you cannot use your expertise until you get medical treatment. You will never die in this game unless you choose to, right? You always have the option of losing your expertise and needing medical treatment, because when you hit him with the brick, actually the brick hurts you more than it hurt him. Yeah?
I mean, I think it would be like dramatically satisfying for Katerina to like die in the street in Marrakesh trying to buy Olivia enough time to get to safety.
Yeah, but we don't want to lose Katerina yet, do we?
But on the other hand, yeah, it's still quite early, so
yeah, come on. You know, she's got a lot of bags to buy
later.
Yeah, so can I just ask, like, in terms of how this plays out mechanically, if I choose to lose my expertise, like, where do I go from there? Like, am I still fighting this guy?
You're still there. You know, maybe you've broken a bone in your hand and you're going to need some medical expertise to put it right. And then we'll go, you know, at some point someone's going to pull a medical kit out of the back bag and you know, treat you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But
I'm cool with that. She's broken her hand. She's, you know, she's definitely considering that this might be the end, but she's going to do what she can to buy some time for the others.
Okay, but you have inflicted 1 success on him, so he's on the clock as well. Stefano, you've seen this happen. What do you do?
I pull out a Molotov cocktail because I think
on a busy tourist street. Oh my God. Okay.
Well, yeah, it has to be fire here. So yeah, I pull that out. Is it still busy in that back alley?
Yeah. There's a ring of people around them. You know, this is street entertainment to some.
Okay, then
I mean, I will just say a Molotov cocktail has an area effect.
Yeah. I pictured it differently. I'll shoot then. I'll take the handgun close hidden silenced and just shoot that guy who just broke the hand of my friend.
Okay, so we see you walking briskly towards this fight. And do you shoot over the heads of the people who are kind of crowded around, or are you pushed to the front? What do we see?
Can I get to a higher position? Are there some, I don't know, barrels or boxes?
If you do, you will not get a shot this action. You can go somewhere, or you can go and shoot him.
I go and shoot him. I just push through.
And bang!
Yeah.
Okay, let's have you. I think probably the way, because you've got 50 yards to close to get there. I think we have another round of this fight before we see how that goes. So let us go to Katerina, shaking her hand. Do you go at him again, or do you run for it? Oh, you are muted. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Is there an option where I can decide that my focus now is not necessarily trying to take him out, but to just like tie him up, to like keep him busy and distracted, hoping that Stefano can get a shot off, or that the others will be able to get away?
So fight or shoot can be to achieve something other than taking them out. So you can fight him to occupy him, or you can run and hope he chases you, I would say.
If I'm rolling the same move anyway, then I'll just fight him. Just keep the fight going.
Okay. But your outcome, and therefore your outcome is going to continue to try to hurt him, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's have you roll to confront the conspiracy. So same as last time, without expertise though.
Yeah.
But now only one failure dice, only the top right failure dice, because the sun is beginning to have an effect on him.
Okay. Is there any way, sorry, I didn't quite understand how intel works. Is there any way that I can use the intel for some advantageous fictional positioning or something like that?
Okay, you could spend intel to know, right, you have heard about. If you spend the intel, I will tell you something potentially useful. So spend the intel. You have heard about a British military experiment about creating super soldiers. The details of it are beyond you, but you have heard rumors that sunlight isn't good for them, and that the effects of the serum they take wears off in sunlight. Is that useful enough?
Yeah, I'm gonna like relay this over the comms while I'm engaging him, that I think that's what's going on.
Because you can see he's beginning to sweat in the sun, and he's still strong, but he's not as strong.
Yeah. And yeah, then I'm just gonna swing, I guess.
Okay. So white dice, green dice, and the pink top right dice. Go for it. Oh. So on a 3, 1 to 3, you fail or succeed at a cost or after a hard choice. Do you want to fail, or do you want to inflict some harm and take a cost?
I think I want to succeed at a cost.
Okay, I'm going to make the cost. I'm going to mark more heat than I would otherwise have done. I was going to mark 1 heat for what's going on in the street anyway, but I'm going to mark 2 heat.
Yeah, I think that it makes sense that a big fight with a super soldier in the middle of the street attracts more heat.
Yeah, but you're going to succeed, and a second one of those will actually hurt him. This time you feel a connection. It's like a oof when you thump him. But he did roll better than you, so you're going to take another consequence, which is you can have the same one. You're just getting beaten up here. Yeah. You can't lose your expertise more than once. And that is when Stefano appears in the crowd. What do you do, Stefano? This guy is reeling a little bit.
I was like on the comm, keep him busy, I'll get to you. Then I just pushed some people out of the way, draw that handgun, and shoot him. Maybe I also utter a code word so you can get down in the exact right moment.
It's just like Vienna, Katerina. Bang. So go for it,
Keep him
Stefano.
busy, he says.
Go for it, Stefano. You are confronting the conspiracy and its pawns. You are rolling with expertise if it's available to you. Do you want to roll a stress dice?
I do.
He's not in a position to hurt you, so you don't roll one of the failure dice.
Okay.
A 5 is a success. So you hit him and he reels away. He's now taken 3 successes. And that is enough to kill him. You just killed another tourist on the street, Stefano. What are you going to do now, Stefano? Because people have gone, ah! They scatter and everyone's looking at you. It's a gun, it's a gun.
Well, I want them to get to safety, so I encourage them to run away by firing off another shot.
People scatter. People scatter. Katerina, what are you going to do? How do we see you leaving the scene?
Well, I want to, like, very quickly and efficiently search the pockets of the guy before we flee.
Okay. Then go ahead, roll to investigate, because you want to ask me some questions about him, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that I'm not seeing much in the way of searching expertise.
Well, I can't use my expertise at the moment.
Oh,
Anyway.
fine. When it's the fine. Stress die or not? You are on 5 stress.
Yeah, I'm very aware.
Okay.
Yeah, I will pass on the stress die for now.
Okay.
Just roll the bare minimum.
4. You grab his wallet. We'll worry about what's in it later. Yeah. And I think at that point we will take, because you've got to finish a commercial break there, haven't you? Shall we take another 5-minute break? Back about that's that 15, 16, 17 minutes to the hour, something like that. I'll see you in about 5 minutes. Okay. And I'll pause the recording. Okay, we're back. So I am going to cut to the safe house. Yeah. Where we have Rasheed and Jasmin are kind of calming Olivia down, and she's saying, "Where is Hassan Safat?" And she's beginning to get twitchy, guys. Is what you need to know, and that's when I think Stefano, with a limping kind of, holding Katerina into the room, arrives because Katerina's clearly taken something of a beating. So what's your first reaction, Rasheed, when Katerina comes in looking like she's taken a beating?
What happened to you two?
Sorry, are the comms broken? Did I not mention suspected non-human?
Oh, we had a whole other thing going on.
Olivia, I'm
They
sorry.
didn't follow you, did they?
That guy didn't. No.
You should see the other guy.
Is there a bar or anything in that safe house? Because Stefano needs a drink.
Oh, I think there is certainly, alcoholic beverage.
I think we both walked straight for the bar.
Some drinks.
Is this seek relief from the horror?
I'm gonna try. Yeah.
It should be.
Okay, so Stefano, reduce your stress by 1, and roll the stress dice to see what the consequences of you getting drunk is.
3.
A 3, 1 to 3. You're a nasty drunk. You're ashamed of yourself. You cannot use your expertise until stress goes up again.
Great.
What about you, Katerina?
All right, so I'm just rolling the stress die.
You're reducing stress by 1 and rolling the stress die. 5, 4 plus, mark heat and agree with the GM if you make a scene that attracts unwelcome attention, let something slip to the wrong person, or carelessly wreck something important or meaningful. Say how this puts the operation at risk. Well, what are you thinking?
I mean, I think the only one that really makes sense in this context is that I wreck something important. I'm not quite sure what that is. I mean, it could be the cover for the safe house.
No, I think it's you're stubbing out a cigarette and the little package of notes that Olivia brought with her goes up in flames. So you are going to know less about the detail of what she might otherwise have told you. Okay. And I must tell you, heat is now at, we are at alarmed. Okay. But I think we've dealt with the immediate aftermath. I now want to get to the kind of end of session move, if you will, or the end of operation move. At the end of every session, every operation, the GM will ask the following questions. Did the team achieve the stated objective of the operation? Is Olivia Liu safe? I think she is. Okay. Did the team neutralize a significant member of the conspiracy or one of its freak assets? Yes. Did the team grant a vampire true death? Sadly, no. The GM will reduce heat by 1 for each of these. So heat has dropped back. They were suspicious, and if only that guy had been able to get back and report, things would have been trickier. The other thing about this is that, oh, there it goes, is that if the team achieved their objective, then every operator automatically reduces their stress by 1. Yeah. So everybody gets 1 stress back, just for the sigh of relief after the adrenaline of the op. So who's gonna try and calm Olivia down, because she's seen an obviously very dangerous man in the form of Stefano come into the room with a slight woman who looks like she's taken a beating. She is not at all convinced that you are taking her to see Hassan Surfat. So who's Jasmin? Is it you who's going to try and talk her down, or is it Rasheed? Because Stefano and Katerina are busy drinking.
I'll offer her a drink too, but I'm not talking.
No, I'll talk to her, but I'm like, look, here are the facts. So it's kind of authority. It's not the velvet glove. It's the eye. It's like, here are the facts. This. And I was like, we will protect you. We are here to protect you and get you out of here. But here's the reality. Bang, bang, bang.
And she kind of, let's have you roll to do something else to see how effective that is, whether there's any fallout. So you're rolling the white dice and the orange dice because you've got expertise. Do you want to include your stress dice?
Yes, I do.
Oh, I thought that she was going to play too cool for school all day. Okay. A 4, and it's not on the stress dice. So that she kind of, that it stops her dead in her kind of babbling panic, building hysteria, and it just stops her dead. And you can instantly ask her 2 things. She is here because she got frightened in Romania when she was observing an archaeological dig site. You get that for nothing. Do you want to ask me any questions, Jasmin?
Did someone hire you to go to Transylvania, or did you just go on a? Yeah, what made you go there?
No, I got this package, and she turns to where Katerina is desperately trying to put it out in a bin. I was sent this package of stuff with details about where this was and all that kind of stuff by somebody called JH, which is the JH was on the edge of the material you got as well. My pictures and everything were in there.
Do you have a
That's
backup?
okay. Just show us
somewhere?
the digital copy. Yeah.
Her camera's back in the hotel room.
You didn't. Is your camera synced to the cloud, Google Drive, whatever?
No, I don't put this kind of stuff anywhere anyone else can find it. I don't trust those things. So you can still ask me 2 questions, but she's not going to be able to provide you quite as much information as she would otherwise have done. Okay, that's where we're at. So what question do you want to ask, Jasmin?
Yeah. Tell us what was alarming that you saw there. Just
well, it was in this village, outside, some way out away from Bucharest. I had to drive quite a long way to get into Transylvania, but he'd given me, map references and all kinds of stuff. And what they were doing, they were kind of excavating something. That they had big diggers. They were digging away a landslide, and it looked like there was something buried under the landslide. there's your 2 questions. There's your 2 pieces of information. Archaeological dig where they're using diggers, and there's something, it looks like an old building or something else has been buried in this landslide. Okay? Anyone else want to quiz Olivia as part of this? I think Rasheed really, I mean, Katerina and Stefano can try, but I think they're busy treating her wounds and guzzling their drink of choice. So Rasheed, anything you want to know?
Yeah, I want to ask about the contact that she's mentioned a few times, who she's supposed to be meeting with here.
Yeah, Hassan Safat,
Yes.
the person you told me you were taking me to him. He's just a local fixer. I was trying to get out the country.
Oh, okay. I mean, we can just do that, probably.
Well, you probably could arrange something. So yeah, that was who she was going to see, because she's been so frightened. Did you see that man and that woman who seemed to always be around watching me?
No, I believe
he's a
that
big
they
guy.
were there,
He has
though.
tattoos.
I think I will like pipe up at that and say he was a big guy. He had tattoos. And then
I'm
I
like,
just look at
oh,
Stefano and say,
when you said that, I thought you meant us.
and then I look at Stefano and say, there's also a woman.
Yeah, there's a woman in the mix somewhere, but who knows where?
Another super soldier.
And then I just pour us some more shots.
Worry about that later.
So, look, you're going to get from Olivia that the conspiracy, and you can look at Operation 2 if you want to. The conspiracy is showing too much interest in a certain person or place. Find out why and address the issue. That's your broad objective. It's in a village near a city, so it's in the middle of nowhere in Transylvania. There is a church or something like a church buried under a landslide. And I will tell you that it's a monastery that was closed in the 13th century and buried under a landslide during an earthquake in the 60s. Yeah. That is what she could have showed you pictures of the site. It looks more like a building site than an archaeological dig. They've got big diggers. It's not like any archaeological dig I've ever seen. And then I started having these dreams, and I just got really frightened, and then I got chased to Bucharest, got on a plane, and I've been hiding here.
What dreams?
Oh, just of someone moving in the darkness. It was like those terrible dreams you can get where you kind of you're in a darkened room and you know there's somebody there, but you can't see who it is.
I don't dream. Cheers.
Olivia, do you know who this JH is?
No,
were they waiting for you, or no?
It was an entirely anonymous package just arrived at my Paris address. I wish I did. He got me into this.
Well, he also got you out of it because he's the one who sent us.
Really? Oh, wow. I thought he might have been one of the bad guys. Can you get me out of here and get me safe?
Is anywhere really safe anymore?
Yes, of course we can.
Now, you will find right the way down the bottom of your character sheet, below gear, you will find contacts. You can call on a contact to do stuff you can't do. They each have an expertise, and one of the expertise is the mule. They get people or things across borders. Calling on a contact is really easy. All you have to do is mark stress, and they provide the necessary fictional positioning. They can never solve a problem for you, but they can provide the tools or the positioning to allow you to solve a problem you otherwise would struggle with. Yeah?
I'm happy to do it. I can get them to smuggle us into Romania.
No, she said, I'm not going to Romania. I have friends in the States. I want to go to the States. I'm not going into. I want to get out of Europe.
Misunderstanding. We are already on the plane. I'm sorry.
I mean, you have that option, Jasmin. You could say, yeah, we're going to get you on a plane. We're going to come with you, in fact. And then you land in Bucharest. You're going to take this poor woman back into the lion's den.
Yeah, because we don't have to tell her. We can just say, we're going to get you out of there. You're going to be safe with us. And then, oh, we're here.
I suppose what I'm unclear about is what benefit that gives you. Because what you're going to have then is a civilian to watch.
There should be 2 planes. We shouldn't do that, I think.
Jasmin, you were prepared to spend the stress to get the contact.
Does that mean I have to spend another one to get a second plane?
No, you will just travel.
Oh, okay. Well, we could
we
could drop her off in like Athens or something.
With
like Greece on the way.
A connecting flight to the US. Okay, so mark the stress, Jasmin. What's your contact's name?
Are
you using Hassan Sarfat?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. So Hassan Sarfat, him.
May as well undo that lie.
He has mule expertise. So he's now part of your network, right? If you need people or stuff smuggled across borders, Hassan Sarfat is your man. And you've marked the stress to get him. Okay. Is there anyone who wants to embark on some seek relief from the horror before you arrive in Romania?
Probably. I actually had a question about contacts. Do we get Olivia as one for free?
You can put her in the notes.
Okay.
Because she's good for conceivably information. If this was an ongoing campaign, she certainly would be someone that you could call on later on. I think in this context, she's unlikely to crop up again.
Fair enough.
Unless you can think of a really clever, positioning for it. So, Rasheed, do you want to seek relief from the horror? Or are you cool?
I mean, my stress is low, but I mean, it's not so low that I don't want to seek relief, Yeah, I think I want to do the thing that we talked about where I put my family in the conspiracy target list because, I mean, how can you not?
Drive them like a stolen car. So reduce your stress by 1 and say something new about your relationship with your parents.
I lost the tab. Yeah. So what I was going to say, and this will be what kind of puts them in harm's way.
No, just tell us something about it. What we'll do in the movie is we'll have a cut scene to home life in with your parents, and then I'll threaten them.
Oh, okay.
So it could be anything at all about the Malik family.
Yeah, I mean, what I was gonna say is that they haven't given up looking for Nadia, and even though I also haven't, I've been trying to tell them to stop looking.
Okay, so what I think we'll see is them in a private detective's office, explaining to another private detective how much they want to find their daughter. And as they leave, you see him pick up a telephone and he dials a number and he says, were you the one who was interested in a Rasheed Malik and his family? So I am now hitting the target. So they are now a target. They're not yet on the run, but clearly there are tentacles reaching towards them. But you saved a stress. I won't make you roll the dice because the best that can happen is you roll a 6. You reduce stress by 2, but you can never get less than 1. Your stress is always 1 as a minimum. So
okay, fair enough.
I won't waste your time. Anyone else want to seek relief from the horror at this point?
Yeah, I was wondering, could Jasmin sort of try and chat up Katerina? And basically, if she's not interested, then she'll just go drinking instead. So either way, she's going to get some relief. It's just...
Well, I mean, Katerina, I think what's being offered here is some meaningless sex
I
with Jasmin.
I mean, like, how do you? What's the approach? Like, you gotta seduce
Yeah.
me a little.
To do it, you got to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably, pour her a drink and offer a massage and see if things go from there. If not, just keep drinking.
Yeah, like, I guess I'm happy for that to happen to the characters, but I don't really want to roll to reduce my stress by having meaningless sex.
Well,
so if it works just for Jasmin to do that.
Let me be clear. There is a possible consequence for you, depending on the dice roll. If Jasmin just gets drunk, that consequence isn't on you. Because if Jasmin rolls 4+, things go very badly. Agree with the GM whether to apply the 4+ result from verbally abuse, bully, or shame someone, or beat someone up, which could have an effect on you, on the character. So there's more risk in meaningless sex between PCs than there is in just letting a PC get drunk. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's both just have meaningless sex.
Let's explore the mechanic.
Alright.
Okay, so let's start with Jasmin. Jasmin, you reduce stress by 1, and you roll the stress dice to see what the consequence is.
Okay. Oh, no, that one. That's just that one. Okay. 6.
6. Wow. 4+.
Nice.
Things go very badly.
Oh no, that's
You
bad.
end up having a shouting match, or does it get violent? Jasmin, on your side.
I'm thinking while I was massaging her, I forgot her hand was injured, and I just sort of bump it, and it really freaking hurt. So argument.
Okay. But it was really worth it. Reduce stress by another 1. So now verbally abuse, bully, or shame on 4+, and they are an operator. Your words hit them really hard. They roll for stress. So Katerina, roll for stress.
Sorry.
Oh no.
Yoicks.
It doesn't go up. Everyone's a winner.
There's that.
Now you've got an option here, Katerina. Given what's happened, do you want to carry on with meaningless sex, or do you want to go somewhere else with this? Do you want to shout at her? Do you want to,
Oh, yeah.
You can attack me and have a fight if you want.
Nah, I think I'm just gonna indulge in the meaningless sex as well.
Okay, so despite the reaction to the hand, reduce stress by 1, Katerina, and roll the stress dice to see what the consequences are.
Right, reduce it by 1.
At 2, your partner sees through your empty affection. You are ashamed, Katerina. You cannot use your expertise until stress goes up again.
Okay, can I just clarify? Because I also had the effect that I couldn't use expertise until I'd had some medical attention. Can we assume that's happened?
No, I'm gonna give you the medical attention last of all. So you
Okay.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I was curious about that because I didn't see like a gear item that was like a med kit or anything.
Is there not? I thought I'd added one in. I keep
Not
adding
that I
stuff.
saw.
I was wondering if the benefit of the safe house could be a med kit.
No, you're okay. There should be. I've clearly not quite updated this version of the Keeper. So there is a med kit. It takes up 2 spaces and it gives you expertise for treating. Yeah. So somebody needs to treat Katerina at some point. Who wants to do that?
I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, I think you're the most technically capable and calm. So you're rolling with expertise, but you need to tell me whether you want to include the stress dice.
Yes, my stress is low enough, and I definitely want Katerina to have the full use of both of her arms.
Okay.
I've always appreciated that about you, Rasheed.
A
So I got a
6.
6 on the expertise and just the 1 on
Okay,
stress.
so you get your expertise back, Katerina. But on a 6, what additional benefit do you want to get from this, Rasheed? Do you want her to have reduce another stress, maybe?
Oh yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
better than ever.
Yeah. But when you're examining her and she's telling you what happened, you get an insight into just how powerful that individual was. Because when you roll a 6, mark intel.
Nice.
As you discover more about the war you're waging. Scary, isn't it? Roll for stress, Rasheed.
Sounds like a theme.
My experience of this game is that there is a consistent amount of stress in the world, and all it does is move from one character to another.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my stress goes up.
Okay.
Very upsetting.
So, everyone's fit. Olivia gets off the plane in Athens to go to the States, and you fly on to Romania. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want to do any research before you get to the site, or do you want to use your investigation scenes to be observing the site? Because I'm assuming that's where you're going.
Could I check in with a contact in Athens while we're there to sort of?
What do
So
you
I asked them to look up some stuff, and then when I got there, they debriefed me on what they'd found out.
That sounds like you're looking up a librarian friend. They can tell you about weird shit.
Yeah, any odd stuff happening in the area.
Okay. And give him a name and spend a stress to get him.
Oh, okay. Pierre.
Fine.
Pierre.
And what he can do is he can just give you intel, right? So you've spent stress, but you've gained an intel from a bundle of stuff he's given you that you can choose how to spend later on. Yeah. Anyone else want to do anything in the layover in Athens?
Just enjoy the sun.
I think I want to do an investigation before we get there.
Fine, go ahead. In Athens or in Bucharest before you get to the site, which is, 100 miles away from Bucharest.
Either or.
Bucharest. Let's be in Bucharest.
Bucharest it is.
So what are you interested in? Set the investigative scene.
Yeah, I want to kind of ask around about who's financing the dig.
Okay. Let's have you roll to investigate as you do some research into the background of this dig, because you know where it is. You can begin to search for information. So you're rolling with expertise. The stress dice is up to you.
I'll not use the stress die for this. I'll just do the 2.
Oh wow,
6.
you guys are rolling so many 6s. Well, mark intel for a start.
Oh, now my stress is going to go up anyway.
Well, it might not. And the basic information is that this is a dig being run by the British Council, which is a British government organization which funds cultural activities or cultural investigations across the world. So the paperwork says it's official, British government.
Sure,
you get that for nothing. You get that for nothing. Now you can ask me 2 questions.
And the 2 questions can be sort of anything, right?
Anything.
So I guess
you could even ask me, who's been seen. That might give you a clue as to what the significant threat is. Take your pick.
I was gonna ask if there's any particular reason why the British government is interested in it now, since the landslide was what, like 50 years ago?
Long time ago. You are aware that sometimes British intelligence uses the British Council as cover. So I think digging into your, what you remember, your time at GCHQ, there was a rumor in British intelligence that it's filled with rumors. But at the top of British intelligence, there's a guy called, or a woman called C, right? Mm-hmm. Head of MI6. Mm-hmm. The rumor always was that there was a D And D, whenever anything inexplicable happened or whenever something out of the ordinary happened, people would say, ah, that's D. So I think the answer to one of your questions is that this could be a D operation. Yeah, because it does seem very strange why British intelligence are digging holes in the ground in Romania 50 years after an earthquake.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that this is suspicious. This is off the books.
Okay.
Does that seem like a fair answer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Do you want to ask me another question now, or do you want to hold it for a moment?
I have the other one in mind, so I'm happy to ask it now. So I want to see if I can find anything about JH, because whoever they are, they have some contact with this area, and the fact that they knew that Olivia was in trouble and that she fled and where she fled to makes me think that if they aren't here, they at least have eyes and ears here.
Okay. I think that you go, you step into the dark web where these conspiracy theorists are endlessly exchanging information which are essential to you. And you look for any JH and any talk about JH, and you find one that says they know that JH is Jonathan Harker. And Jonathan Harker is a protagonist in Dracula, the novel. And there's a lot of weight behind this in the conspiracy theorists. People say, well, JH, you can find, JH crops up in conspiracy theory circles going back, 4 generations. There was a JH who said that weird stuff was going on in the First World War in the trenches. There was a JH who said that there was an arm of British intelligence confronting some kind of secret occult war during the Second War. And there's always been a JH. Always.
Huh. Okay. All right.
If it is Jonathan Harker, he knows as much about Count Dracula as anybody does. Yeah.
So.
But that is absolutely freaky. Would you roll for stress, please?
Of course. Oh, stress is going up.
Oh, yeah. Jonathan fucking Harker, come on. I mean, that was like 1896.
Yeah.
So the rest of you have reserved your investigation scene for on-site at the dig, unless you want to change your mind. Yeah. I'll remind you that what you know so far is in the operations tab. You can set the investigation scene to try to work out who the significant threat might be, more about the site, i.e. you can set obstacles with your investigation scenes. Yeah, that will define some of the problems you'll face. Stefano.
Yeah, maybe I could use some criminal network connections to investigate and ask if something was delivered to the site or ordered illegally, which the organization couldn't get to themselves.
Well, we'll leave the specific question. You want to engage with your underworld. I think that larceny is expertise for this. Oh, but you still cannot.
No, I cannot use it.
Oh,
yeah.
you have you got any intel? You could spend your intel to get your expertise back because you know more about the conspiracy. So
I'll do
your
that.
confidence goes back. Yeah. Okay. That's not written in the rules yet, but it is the rule in my head that is getting written into the rules.
Good rule.
So yeah, good rule. So your expertise is larceny. So that's your connections to the underworld. Do you want to include your stress dice? You got 1 stress. I mean, come on.
No.
What are you saving it for?
I got a 4.
Okay, so on a 4, hang on, I'm just looking for I'll do that in a moment. So yeah, you get one answer. So the basic information is that it's not underworld. This appears to be a proper British government operation. You know, there's British diplomats could go to the site. It looks like all the workers are British. They brought the entire team. They even shipped the kind of diggers in from the UK. So it's not underworld connected. That's the basic information. What do you want to know above that? About the illegality, or what's unusual or strange about this?
Yeah, well, my idea was that maybe they couldn't get their hands on something they needed officially, so they asked the mob to get them, I don't know, yeah, some technical thing or something. But if it's completely
Above
legal
board
and official, yeah, well, but maybe the underworld guys noticed something out of the ordinary or something unusual that was going on in the town.
Yeah, they have. The local criminals are really pissed off because what they appear to have done is this British operation has been set up, and they're offering locals free dental and eye tests. And the local network had a bit of an arm on that. They got a cut out of these kind of healthcare stuff. So so it's bizarre, the people are just queuing to go to the site to get their teeth done and their eyes tested. It's really pissing us off, is the truth of it. Okay, so I'm going to say that there is on here, there is a medical tent with dentistry and optician.
But there are no blood tests taken.
Well, strangely, the only thing that the British Council is asking is for people to make a blood donation. And this is because they're then shipping that to parts of the world where blood is in short supply. And the people are happy to do that. So I'll put eye test and in large capital letters, blood donations, ... Yeah. So there's a medical test. There could be some locals on site when as an obstacle. Okay. What about Katerina? How does you're on site as long as you want to be?
Yeah. So I think that I just want to spend some time like actually surveying the site, like seeing who's coming and going, and particularly trying to work out who's in charge.
Okay. So let's see. I think that fieldcraft is going to allow you to get into positions around this, because it's sneaking up as a soldier, isn't it? It's, camouflage, stuff like that. So
yeah,
I think
I still can't use my expertise until my stress goes up.
Oh no. Do you want to spend intel?
Yeah, why not?
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Just asking.
Yeah, let's do that.
So you got your expertise back. So your fieldcraft allows you to, set up a camouflage hide from which you can observe the site. And so you've got a very good layout of the site. That's the basic information you get. But roll with expertise to ask me some more questions about it. And you can include the stress dice if you want to.
Yeah, I definitely will.
The stress dice is equal to or higher than, so your stress is going to go up by 1, because what is absolutely clear to your training is that this is a military operation. They may be dressed as civilians, but the guys driving those tractors and diggers are clearly soldiers. They're British engineers of some description. So I'll tell you that for nothing, okay? Ask me a question. Oh no, you got a 3. You don't get to ask me a question. No, that's all right. I give you the basic information, which is it's a military op. Yeah. Let's go to Jasmin. What kind of prep do you want to make for this operation, either in defining an obstacle? So I tell you what, I am going to put at least paramilitary pawns of the conspiracy as an obstacle, as a threat. Yeah. Jasmin, what do you want to?
I've got an intel to spend. Could I possibly know like a weakness for this crew that I've heard of? Like they don't have air support, or they have crap tech, or they're susceptible to bribes or something?
I think that at this point, if you do some more inquiring, you could define the threat. Because at the minute, all we've got is some British squaddies, right? If you want to do some investigating to try to find out, is there a greater threat than that, i.e. a supernatural threat, then you could spend intel to define something about the supernatural threat. But you don't have a special weakness for mortals, right? They are what they are. Or am I misunderstanding the question? What were you hoping to get? Oh, you are muted.
Just some sort of weakness we could use as leverage to get in.
I mean, that's an approach,
shot.
really. That would be about somebody, coming up with a disguise, or you calling on a contact maybe to get you false ID. Maybe your ID comes from the British Council. I don't know, but that you're getting into the op there. This is about prep. Yeah. This is about finding out what the problems are going to be rather than trying to solve them.
I mean, I've got IR goggles. Could I use them to sort of check people out at night, see if any of them are different?
That's interesting. Okay, mark yourself with some IR goggles. I'll ask you about how loaded you are shortly, but let's go with it for the moment. So you're doing nighttime observation, right?
Yep.
Katerina's doing the day, you're doing the night. And what I think you'll see is that there are tents set up. And as dusk falls, people retreat to the tents, the digging stops. But I think as you watch through the small hours, you see one person making their way into where they've been excavating. Okay? And then I need you to roll to investigate.
Okay.
I think that probably tradecraft would apply here as expertise.
Okay. Sorry, I am worried it is the female uber-human person, so I'm going to mark stress.
Oh, 6s, but not on the stress dice, so that's a good result. So you get to ask me 2 questions. I've given you the basic that there is this person. What do you want to ask me about them?
Is it the female? Do they have like a different heat signature to the others?
She doesn't appear to be. I think I said when I was describing the super soldier that he was overheating.
Okay.
And you're not getting the same. It's the heat signature is no different from an ordinary person.
Okay, that's good news.
This looks. I will tell you, this looks like a woman, but it looks like a fairly slight woman. So I'm going to add that to the operation. Slight woman visits tunnel at night. ... Okay.
Yeah.
You've got another question left.
At night, is there an area that doesn't seem as well, searchlight or less patrolled sort of thing?
I'll be honest with you, at night, it doesn't feel, it's in a very, very remote location.
Okay.
This doesn't, there's no fencing. You may have spotted some people just walking around the site, patrolling the site, but not in a kind of rigorous way.
So they're not expecting company.
They're not expecting company. They're in the middle of nowhere. Why would they?
Yeah. Okay.
Is that good
useful
enough?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to write down for Jasmin as an obstacle is nighttime access is easier than daytime. Okay. But you rolled a 6, didn't you? Yeah. The thing about the 6 is that at one point you see this this slight woman, confronted by one of the guys patrolling, just checking the equipment. And there seems to be a bit of an altercation. And then he goes slack, turns around and walks away.
Okay.
I am going to up the significant threat to a conspiracy pseudoscientist or occultist. I think you have a witch on site. Okay, so that's the setup. Now, look, it's 26 minutes past the hour. I'm going to suggest that we take a very swift break. Can we be back here at 1/2 the hour? And then we'll play to finish. Okay, I'll see you in 4 minutes.
You're muted there.
We are back from our final break. See, I get excited. I either don't unmute myself or I forget to record. So we are recording. I've added to the Faces and Places tab a sense of the kind of quality of the archaeological dig that's going on, which is using earth movers to just plow into this hillside. It is clearly not an archaeological dig. And in terms of personalities that you've seen on the site, I've given you pictures of the 5 people. We can get rid of the super soldier at the bottom because we know he's dead. There are 5 people that are recognizably more than just British Army engineers dressed as civilians. Okay. You've done some investigating. You've got some intel left. Now, I'll tell you now, you can hold that intel and try to use it to define the powers or whatever of a supernatural threat if you encounter it. Or you can spend it now to define more obstacles. Or you can just come up with a plan and go with it. What's our thinking, Rasheed?
What's the benefit of defining obstacles?
It simply allows you to define an obstacle that you might be good at solving. So it's just a way to give you some guaranteed spotlight.
Because you create the complication.
Gotcha. Or you just define something that I don't make up, you make up.
Right.
Yeah. Who knows what I'll throw at you?
It's true.
Does it have to be for you? For example, could I create an obstacle that they've got a satellite dish and they're transmitting stuff, and therefore Rasheed could use digital intrusion to find out what data they're transmitting or something? No.
You can do it for anybody. Yeah. You've already created nighttime access looks easier than daytime for Jasmin. So you can certainly spend intel to define an obstacle that somebody else might be good at if they're short of intel. Or you can hoard the intel on the off chance of bumping into a supernatural threat.
Which we already suspect that there is one, right?
Certainly, Jasmin's nighttime observation suggests that woman, that it was a very odd conversation. It was like the guy just forgot she was there. I mean, there's an interesting question about why she is seeking, unobserved access to the diggings. But so what are we thinking?
I mean, my thinking is like, we want to stop what they're doing. There's not many people around at night. Let's just go in there with a pile of hand grenades and blow it up.
Because I was going to ask you, what is your objective for this? Is it simply just, as you just said, stop what they are doing? Or do you want to know more? I mean, I know Jasmin wants to know more.
I mean, if we blow the things up, won't they just ship more over?
That's the interesting question. If you just seal it up, that's just a bigger digging job.
I'd like to try and get some of their data first, and then we can blow it up or whatever.
Yeah, I like addressing the issue by blowing things up, but maybe first we try to find out what's going on.
I've just had a thought, actually. If you check out the faces and places name, I've now given a name to one of the faces that you've spotted. It's Oleg.
Oh,
Oleg, what the fuck is Oleg doing on site with British intelligence, Katerina? What's that all about?
well, I think that I might have an objective of my own. I think I won't mention to anyone else that I've spotted someone I know.
Okay, okay. We, the audience, of course, are on the edge of our seats. So Katerina, you know, you want to just sneak in there at night, create a contact who supplies you with a large amount of C4 and blow up the hillside.
Well, I'm reconsidering now because is Oleg there at night? I don't know that he is.
What about Stefano? What are you thinking as a way to? Because, you know, the broad operation was described as the conspiracy showing too much interest in a certain place, find out why and address the issue. Well, addressing the issue could be sealing it up again. I'm not sure it gives you much. Why?
I'd say we don't know that yet. So maybe while staking the place out, we find something that interests us or that makes sense to go after, and then we'll find out how addressing might look like.
Well, you know, that worked in Marrakesh, didn't it?
I think we need to figure out what they think is in there.
Like, can we get in there? Like, how excavated is it?
Well, all I can tell you is that they've cleared a lot of debris, and it's revealed what looks like, you know, an 11th, 12th century church, maybe monastery buildings crushed in the and they've been excavating those, just, you know, not excavating, just digging holes, and it looks like they've got a tunnel going down into the base of this structure of this monastery as was, and that's where a lot of the work's being done. So you know, and certainly the slight woman that Jasmin spotted disappeared into those diggings.
And she hasn't come out that we know of?
I think I'm going to tell you that you will have spotted her coming out, Jasmin. Okay. Jasmin saw her go in at night. I think she stays there all night, Katerina. And when you take over in the morning, you see her come out. So I tell you what, I'm going to identify her as the person on the bottom of the faces and places. And I'm going to call her the smoking woman, because there was a very bright, she seems to continually smoke. That you picked that out on the infrared. She is also in the mountains of Transylvania. Occultist? Question mark. Okay. There's the setup, folks.
So maybe we just follow her in when she
night.
goes down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she might not even go back, in which case we could just walk in.
We want to take a bunch of explosives in there with us that we can plant if we decide to blow it up after?
That sounds like a good idea.
Can we go medium this time so there's more space?
Okay, let's talk about that, because the load is, you can go above light because you are behaving suspiciously altogether now. So by all means, go medium or heavy. Heavy means that you kind of struggle to keep up. You're going to be the slow one at heavy. So go ahead and select whether you're going to stick with medium or light. You don't need to select any equipment now. You can do it in the heat of the moment. But you know, clearly, if Rasheed is going to do any hacking in there, he's going to need a laptop. But you know, again, you can select what you need when you need it. All this tells me is how much space you have.
I was going to say, do I need to still have gear taken up for the med kit, or
no?
Has enough time passed I can get rid of that?
Get rid of it. Yeah. So,
And
go
sorry,
on.
one last question. In the drop down menus, the number of boxes is how many spots it takes up?
Yes.
Okay.
And the other rule is that you have to be medium loaded to carry anything with 2, and you have to be heavy loaded to carry anything with 3 boxes because they're simply bulky.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
So when you're light loaded, you can just carry one box items. Yeah, 3 of them. Okay, so what's shaping up in my mind's eye is nighttime. Are you going to wait to see whether the smoking woman heads into the dig, or are you going to try to get there before her? Stefano, what do you think? You're our muscle here. You're going to have to deal with stuff. I thought it was ironic that, you know, the woman who's good at pretending to be other people ends up fighting the super soldier while you just watch.
Well, I think we should follow her because there are probably safety mechanics and stuff like that. So when we follow her, she is disabling it for us.
Okay, so she's going to open any doors if there are any doors. Okay, and yes, I think that I'm going to put you on the hillside, all 4 of you. Rasheed, you know, this is kind of field work. This is a long way from your desk. How are you feeling at this point as you embark on this?
I feel like, especially after Marrakesh, I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with it, but like I'm also very conscious of the fact that like I still haven't had to draw my firearm, and I'm still like really nervous about the fact that like not only are there you know, potentially supernatural things here, but like I could end up having to shoot at other British citizens, which I'm not super thrilled with.
Absolutely. Not
Yeah,
just
it's
that, you know, employees of the government.
right, who could also shoot back. Definitely pretty far outside my comfort zone.
Okay. I will just remind you that I'm not going to make you define a safe house on this occasion because there's no point, but you do need to tell me what the safe house benefit is this time. And if you look at the safe house benefits, they are automatic weapons, so anything with an auto description in the gear, heavy weapons, which includes explosives, yeah, or tech toys, drones, stuff. So just sort out between you. Anybody want to make a suggestion about which of those you want to go for?
I'm down for explosives, whether we're going to destroy it or need a diversion on the way out. Either way, they're handy.
Yeah, I was going to say the same.
Okay, so just so you're aware then, you cannot invoke any auto weapons without flashing back to your call on a contact that delivered one for you. Yeah? You cannot use any tech toys apart from the laptop unless you call on a contact to see us deliver those, okay? But you have anything marked heavy in there that you could be carrying. Okay. So, and the other thing I want to point out is, you know, you're a specialist, blah, blah, and blah. Once per session, you can tick that box and improve an outcome by 1 step by marking stress, okay? So you have a chance to be completely cool in the worst of all circumstances. Okay, so you're on the hillside. I see you, you know, black turtlenecks and balaclavas, you know, equipment. You know, Stefano has got a substantial rucksack of some kind. Rasheed has got a big kind of carry-all, and Katerina probably has, you know, maybe tactical harness. I don't know. And you're observing now. You're waiting. Who's going to be looking? Who's going to be wearing the night vision goggles at this point to spot the smoking woman? Or do you just want to rely on ordinary sight?
Do they have lights on in sort of around the area?
Okay, yeah, I'm not going to mess with you. Yeah, okay. The smoking woman, you see her. You know, night falls. You can see that there's one guy just walking the perimeter. And at the point when he reaches the far side of the perimeter, you see the smoking woman emerge from the medical tent. And she's carrying what looks like one of those kind of cool boxes.
Oh.
And she's heading out of the light towards the tunnel entrance that you are looking down on, observing. Does anyone want to intervene, or do you want to let her get into the tunnel?
I definitely want to make a case for intervening. Like, I know we said we were going to follow her, but she's going to feed them. We do not want that blood getting to those things.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what we know of is in the tent, right?
You know that there's been blood donations given in the tent, yeah. It could just be a set of dental equipment.
Yeah, as you often bring to an archaeological excavation in shady circumstances.
I think it's a very good chance that that's a bunch of blood packs.
I looked to Stefano specifically.
Yeah, well, I think intervening, we should intervene, but not in the open, but when she's going down there and just be
let's
right
get closer.
her. Yeah.
Okay, so who's going to be the person who's doing the sneaking? I mean, I'm going to suggest Katerina's fieldcraft is actually, making good use of the terrain. So if you follow her lead, so let's have Katerina roll to do something else to get up close and personal. I tell you what, it's probably avoid detection if I think about it. There's a risk of exposure. Will she notice you? So with expertise, do you want to include your stress dice?
Yeah.
Go for it. Oh, a 6. A 6. On 4+, your cover holds or you don't attract any unwanted attention. But on a 6, also mark intel as you discover more about the war you're waging. As she walks away from the lights, you can see her eyes have a dim red glow about them. Yeah, so mark intel, but then roll for stress. If your stress dice comes up higher than your current stress, it goes up by 1. Yeah, we'll take that one as going up by 1. Yeah, a 6 on the stress dice. Up it goes. She is freaky. Okay, I am going to mark her on the threats as the witch. ... Yeah. And I'm going to tell you that she has the power to see in the dark. But you get down close as she's coming towards this entrance. She hasn't noticed you, though. So you're close. Stefano, you said you wanted to get close, I think. Why?
Why?
Even witches need hugs.
That might be a fair point, yeah. But I think to pin her down and get the blood out of her hand.
So you're just going to go and tackle her?
Yeah, when she disabled any security mechanics or whatever and got down there.
Oh, let me be clear then. So you're hiding near the entrance to this tunnel that they've dug into the basements. Yeah.
Yeah.
She is walking towards that tunnel. Do you want her to go into that tunnel and you follow her, or do you want to stop her getting there?
No, I want to follow her.
Okay, but the idea is, are you sneaking after her? Okay. I'm going to give you larceny as experience for that, I think, because larceny, sneaking into places is what criminals do. So let's see if she notices you. So you also are rolling to avoid detection to follow her into that tunnel with the others coming after you, I'm assuming. So with expertise, include the stress dice if you want it.
I do. Okay, 3 overall.
Okay, so that is failure. I'm going to increase the heat. And failure or success at a cost. The cost,
success. Yeah.
The cost is going to be that you are going to be able to get in there after her and she won't notice. But she's going to have got slightly further ahead of you.
Okay, yeah, I take that.
Yeah, so you're still, she doesn't know you're there, but you've kind of lost sight of her.
Yeah, to be sneaky, I have to be slower. Yeah,
you're a big man to sneak quickly. So you're kind of following into the darkness. You do notice that there's a generator in the camp with cables running over here. So you could probably find some way to switch a light on in here if you wanted to. Rasheed, I mean, you're our technical chap. Are you keen to put the lights on, or do you want to stay in the dark?
I mean, it will alert her and whatever else if we put them on. So I feel like that's probably not the best. I feel like the element of surprise is all we have right now because we're going into something that's completely unknown to us.
Fine.
And I don't want to broadcast our approach.
Okay. I think then, Stefano, that you will hear the kind of clank of a chain being taken off some kind of gate. And then, it clangs shut, but you don't hear it being relocked. So you're heading back down into following her down. You can go two abreast. So who's bringing up the rear? Yeah, Rasheed. Who's keeping Rasheed company at the back? I love in narrative games saying, what order do you enter the dungeon in? So Jasmin and Rasheed are at the back, Stefano's ahead, and Katerina's backing Stefano up. So Stefano, you come to, and it's dark in here. How are you going to see that you don't bump into something?
I got a cat with me. No. Yeah, well, I'll got also night goggles.
Okay.
Night vision. Yeah.
Okay, so you have night vision goggles. And what you can see is in the faint illumination that's leaking from the outside, the faint moonlight, you can see that there's a chain link gate that is just ajar, and there's a chain with a padlock that has been left unlocked. And so on you go?
Yeah, I think so. I'm still slow and steady, but yeah.
And what you will hear is very low chanting.
That's probably not great.
Yeah, well, I want to see who's chanting, so
you're going to keep going.
Yeah.
It's a woman's voice, and it's low. It's kind of almost like the kind of chanting is almost it's like talking to a baby. You know, it's kind of coo, 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 coo. Ah, my lord, drink, my lord.
Mm-hmm. So she's already feeding him, or
well, you see, you fell a little bit behind her.
yeah.
What are you
Yeah,
gonna do,
it's okay.
Stefano?
I'm just like, tricky situation. Maybe I'll look to the others and
I tell you what, Stefano, you seem a bit nervous to me. I think it's time you rolled for stress just because you're nervous.
Yes.
Big bloke like you. Stress goes up by 1.
Mm-hmm. Great.
So you're all now beyond this chain link gate, and you can hear in the dark this whispering, chanting, cooing in a woman's voice. Katerina, you're just behind Stefano. You've caught up to him. What's your instinct?
So I just want to be clear. I have my night vision goggles on as well. I'm just going to fill that in on my gear track. I'm going to use the comms to extremely quietly say, audio contact. She is feeding the creature. Confirmed. I say it's time for the grenades. You guys wanted information. Like what more information do you want?
Is anyone going to stop Katerina pulling the pin on a couple of grenades?
Like, it's not that you need to stop me. Like, if there's something that you want to do, I will hold off. But if there's not, like, I'm not sure what information we're trying to get here.
No, I'll put some C4 on the wall and, thumbs up, let's go.
I do want to ask Rasheed, this appears to be a British government-sponsored operation. I'm wondering if Rasheed is interested in finding anything else out, or is this enough? The British government are digging a vampire out of the ground in Transylvania. That's enough for me.
Yeah, I mean, especially I don't know if they know that that's what they're doing, since the witch did some kind of like hypnosis thing to one of the guards.
I
So
just
the
wonder if
British,
any of them know where your sister is.
oh shit, they might do.
I
Yeah,
also
no,
want to. Can
sorry,
I
go ahead.
add?
Stefano?
Yeah, I just want to say I'm all for bang action grenades, fire and stuff, but maybe it would be cool to have a scene where we talk to her at first. So on a meta level, me as a player, I think that would be cool.
Yep. I would like to go in further as well.
Like,
Okay.
I just feel
Get
like
some
the
answers.
vampire in there is going to murder us all if we try and have a conversation.
Quite possibly. Maybe
Well-
maybe it's still in a weakened state.
I could. We have heavy weaponry. Correct.
You have heavy weapons,
Is
and I
a
think that. Go on. Talk to me.
sniper rifle is heavy, so I could position myself with a sniper rifle on a ledge or somewhere, and not all of us go down. So I just say, "Hello, we're here. Let's talk." But one of us or two of us, and I could provide cover.
Yeah, I was gonna say similarly, could we set up the explosives with like a dead man switch?
Yeah, that's the kind of technical thing that someone like you would be able to do. So what I'm seeing then is Rasheed saying, okay, I'll put the C4 here, and I'll set up this trigger. I'm seeing Stefano, putting together his sniper rifle with the infrared scope, and saying, you go in there, I'll just stay here with the sniper rifle. And then seeing what happens. In the words of the game, playing to find out. Katerina, I keep getting that wrong.
Sorry, just Cat. Like, if they want to talk to her, I'm gonna back them up.
Okay, Jasmin, you're going to back up Rasheed, or take part in this conversation, or you're going to stay back with Stefano?
I'll go in with Rasheed.
Okay, so the three of you go forward. Stefano, I see you, at a slight corner in this tunnel that's been dug. What's clear is that you've been digging down through the foundations of this previous structure. And now you are in the kind of crypt that was originally underneath it. Yeah. And so I'm seeing Stefano staying back behind one of the pillars, thick pillars that supports the roof here. I'm seeing the other three of you with, does everybody have night vision goggles, or is somebody going in blind?
I think we all have them.
Or do you just turn the lights on?
Yeah.
Rasheed?
Oh, I guess we could just do that now.
You followed that power cord down here.
Yeah. Yeah, we could just turn on the lights now.
I think that will give her a shock.
Yeah.
Because she is standing, when the lights go on, she looks up. And he's clearly not expecting to see you, Rasheed, with your dead man switch. We'll work out if it works when it matters. And she sees you, and she's standing over a stone sarcophagus. The top has been removed, and you can see her squeezing the last blood pack into, and that's when you catch her.
Alan,
yeah,
is that his sister?
How interested would it be, Rasheed, if that was your sister? The smoking woman.
I think that would be very cool.
And she looks at you and says, Rasheed, run. What do you do, Rasheed? Thank you, Blake. That was a blinder. Okay, so are you going to try and convince her to change sides here?
Yes.
Yeah. Then again, not small talk, convincing, not your strong suit. Yeah. So you're not rolling with expertise. You can include your stress dice.
Yes.
But as she looks across the room at you,
Yeah.
her eyes look like deep pools.
That was probably like that before.
Yeah, it's the slight reddish tint that's changed. So let's see if you can convince her, because she is about to use mesmerism on you.
Excellent. Is there anything that Intel can do for me here? I've got a bunch of Intel.
You've got a bunch of intel. Do you want to tell me something about her or her masters, whatever's in there? Because I'm also going to add down here the vampire, because we know it's there. Do you want to come up with a compulsion or a deterrent for her or the vampire? I'll put mesmerism down for her because she's about to do it.
Yeah.
I can't find
yeah,
mesmerism.
I think there we are. I would like for her master to still be in a weakened state.
I am going to give you a weakened vampire. You don't have to spend for that.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I'm not going to give you an ancient vampire at this point.
Beyond that, what would be?
Well, if you look at the compulsions, I'm going to tell you that it is attracted to human blood.
Sure,
okay?
Sure.
Now you could spend an intel to define a deterrent. You have to have a deterrent before you can have a vulnerability.
Right.
So do you want a deterrent of fire, fresh garlic, mirrors, running water, symbol of faith, or ultraviolet light?
I feel like, well, obviously we can get fire together pretty quickly, but I feel like ultraviolet light is also one that we could get going in here.
Okay. And that's only cost you one intel so far. You can either now define a vulnerability for a vampire, or you can define a power for a vampire.
Let's go with a vulnerability.
Okay, what do you want?
What do we got? Oh, let's go with beheading. Yeah.
You can never go wrong with beheading a vampire.
Yeah.
Okay, so beheading it is. And you've spent 2 intel to get that. Is that all your intel done, or do you have more to spend?
I think I still have one more.
Okay, so how do you want to define another deterrent?
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead. If the ultraviolet light fails, what's your chosen deterrent?
Fire.
Fire. Okay, select it from the drop down. Actually, I'm there. I can do it. There you go. Okay. She's using mesmerism on you, right? So you are going to roll to try to convince her that she shouldn't hurt you, and she's going to try and control you. Okay, Rasheed?
Yep.
So let's have you roll with expertise. Do you want to include your stress dice?
Absolutely, I do. Wait, I have expertise?
Yeah. Oh no, you don't. Sorry.
No, I don't.
You have fictional positioning. You're a fucking brother. Of course, you have expertise in talking to your sister.
Fair enough. And go.
6 on the stress dice.
6 on the stress.
It goes up.
I mean, that's pretty understandable in the situation.
It is. And I'm going to count that as 1 success against her. That's 6. In fact, I'm going to count it as 2 successes against her, because she, for a moment, the red film on her eyes just dims a little bit as she sees her elder or younger brother.
I'm elder.
Elder brother. And she says, Rasheed, don't do this. Don't do this. You can mark intel actually for that 6. So if you've got a bit of leverage on her, you could spend it to get another expertise. But I do want, before you go beyond that, I want to see what Jasmin and Katerina are doing, and whether in fact Stefano simply takes the shot. Stefano, do you take the shot? Because that could cut through a lot of this.
Not yet. No.
Okay.
I'm eyeing the situation, but no, not yet.
Okay, Jasmin, what are you doing?
Can I shoot her in the leg?
You can certainly confront the conspiracy and its pawns by shooting her, and the outcome you want is shoot her in the leg. So go for it. You are rolling with expertise. Do you want to include your stress dice?
Yeah, might as well.
At 5 is success. You shoot her in the leg, and she goes down in a heap.
What are you doing? That's my sister.
She crumples to the ground, but she will reveal another power, which is, where's it gone? Spider climb. She climbs up into the shadows of the ceiling, just like
That's upsetting.
Yeah, that's your sister didn't used to be able to do that.
Yeah, I'll say that's not your sister anymore.
But it has stopped her using mesmerism on you, Rasheed.
That was my goal.
Katerina, what are you going to do?
I think I'm gonna just lob a Molotov cocktail into the open sarcophagus.
Let's go with that, shall we? So you are going to confront the conspiracy and its pawns. You always wanted this to go up in flames. You are rolling with expertise. Do you want to include distress dice?
Yes.
Go for it. That is a 5. So it goes in and a fire starts. This is not a kind of, but a fire starts in that sarcophagus. And I will mark one damage, one success on the vampire as it begins to climb out of the sarcophagus. So this flaming, it looks ancient, but you can see it smeared with blood that's beginning to evaporate in the flames from the Molotov. There's that coppery smell, but also a disgusting smell. So I just need you all, because I'm going to give it the power. Where's it gone? I am going to give it a stifling atmosphere. Just disturbing it has just caused this wave of stink and death and decay. I need each of you to roll for stress, please. So let's start with Rasheed. His stress has got so high in the region. Oh no, it goes
my
up.
Stress is going up.
That's a 5.
Death is approaching.
What about Jasmin? Jasmin, cool to cucumber. What about Stefano when this wave of stench reaches you? That goes up by 1. And finally, Katerina. That's fine. So, Stefano, you're not going to be able to do anything this action because the stench is so appalling. Similarly, Rasheed, you can't do anything in the moment. That leaves Jasmin and Katerina to act. Katerina, what are you going to do?
Do I know Rasheed's sister's name?
I don't know. Have you shared that? I mean, he shared something about his parents. I don't know.
Yeah, I imagine I would have said her name's Nadia.
Okay.
Nadia, come down. I'm going to shoot your brother in the leg and leave him to burn up with that thing.
Negotiation.
I point my gun.
Negotiation with a very sharp edge. Roll with expertise to do something else. Do you want to include a stress dice? Go ahead.
Yeah.
A 6, and it's not on the stress dice. Nadia kind of appears round behind one of these pillars, and she's looking at you. She's fixated on you and her brother. So you succeed. She's going to come down, but you've got a 6. What additional benefit do you want from this?
I mean, can the additional benefit be that she kind of concedes, that she, relents?
She is going. Well, I think that might be a step too far, but she is certainly going to come down and stand between you and her brother.
All right.
Yeah, she's going to protect her brother. Yeah.
Right.
And Rasheed, the stench has gone as this thing is climbing out of the sarcophagus and heading towards you. What do you do, Rasheed?
The elder vampire?
The vampire, yeah. She's not a vamp, she's just being
Yeah.
enthralled.
I'm gonna shoot him.
Okay. He's not a British subject as far as we know. So
Even if he is.
I'm just wondering if you want to burn a bit of stress.
No, I don't.
Do you not want to tell us something else about your family?
Oh! I thought you meant roll the die. I know, Kitty. Death is real close.
That's a really painless way to drop your stress from 5 to 4. It's just you're teetering on the edge here.
Yeah. Let's do that. Say something new about relationship with the anchor. They blame me for Nadia's disappearance.
Oh, wow. And now you're going to be blamed for the fact that someone firebombs their home and drives them into the street where a black van is waiting. And you see your parents scattering down the street being pursued by members of the conspiracy in this cutscene. But you've reduced your stress by 1, but roll the dice because it could be really cool.
It could go down by 2. It could happen.
It doesn't. It just goes down by 1. So, but that takes you off the edge. So Nadia is now protecting you from Katerina, and you've shot at the vamp. Let's have you shoot at the vamp then with expertise. Right. You went through the basic training.
Yeah, that sounds like a thing I can do, maybe.
Wow.
6.
Tell me what this looks like as you shoot bits out of a vampire.
Yeah. Despite kind of shaking, trying to steady. Feeling a little bit more secure with Nadia kind of giving me some cover and just kind of double tap the chest.
Okay, and through the flames that are still licking over the body, you see a poof, poof. And then I will reveal the fact that vampires can regenerate. So while you can drive them off with mundane weapons, you cannot put them down. You will have to behead it. So Stefano, back to you. The stench has dispersed, or you've got used to it. You see this tragic tableau of evil twin brother and sister. What are you going to do, Stefano? The vampire will be on them soon.
Yeah, well, a beheading is also beheading when I shoot him through the neck. So
it's worth a try at this point, isn't it?
I guess so.
So what I'm going to say is that's going to require a 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because this is a mundane weapon, but you could just take the head off. So you're rolling with expertise. Do you want to include your stress dice?
Definitely. Is there another possibility to get another die?
There is, because you're using a heavy weapon. So you use the gray dice right at the bottom that rarely gets an outing.
And
oh, so
6.
close. So close. So
Can I
blow away a bit of the neck.
Can I up that by marking a stress?
Because you are a scalp hunter, a killer by training. Yeah. You can mark your scalp hunter specialism, spend a stress, and improve that from marginal to complete success.
Oh, nice.
Doing that.
And I think you aim slightly high and the head explodes.
Yeah, well.
And the body crumbles to dust and fragments of bones with the licking fire of the Molotov around it. And Nadia screams and throws herself at Katerina, who she sees as the threat. What do you do,
Can
Katerina?
I taser? Oh.
No, go on. What are you thinking?
Can I taser her?
You can certainly try. Let's have you confront the conspiracy and its pawns before she makes contact with Katerina.
She gets
In my
shot
head
in the
now.
leg, tased.
A 4 is success, so you tase her. I'm going to give her another. That's another success against her, but she is strong and her will is enormous. But she is certainly thrown back. That gives you, Katerina, first decision about what happens next.
Yeah, so I don't want to shoot her at this point. My teammates inexplicably want to question her. I guess Rasheed has some sentimental attachment. But I am gonna like kind of clock her with the butt of my gun, or try
Okay.
to.
I'm not going to make you roll for that. I think that you put her down with that one because she's already had a number of successes against her. She goes down in a heap. So we have a crumbling vampire, a crypt, a tunnel, some C4 and a dead man switch. And I dare say, given that shots will have resounded around this valley, a camp that is stirring. Katerina, is there something you want to do before you leave? Something you want to leave and do?
I think that maybe what I want to. Well, I mean, are you gonna blow this place up? Because what I'm tempted to do is wait in the sarcophagus for Oleg and then shoot him in the face when he looks in on me.
That is too cool not to be the last scene. So let me go back to saying to Rasheed, I'm seeing you now. You've handed the dead man switch to Jasmin and you've picked your sister up.
Yep.
What's the plan, Rasheed?
Get out of Dodge.
Get out of Dodge at pace. So just run up the tunnel.
Yep.
Yeah. He runs past you, Stefano, with this evil witch in his arms. Stefano, what do?
Packing up my sniper rifle.
The consummate professional carefully and knocks it down into a small container, puts it back in the bag. And then are you staying or are you leaving?
For now, I'm staying to make sure that everyone gets out. I think, or I know that it's his sister, so I'm not intervening or anything because I get that he's rescuing her.
It's bad enough I'm going to lose my parents.
Yeah, the irony of getting your sister back and having your parents. Jasmin, what about you?
I'm getting the hell out of there.
So you're running after Rasheed with his sister.
Ahead of.
Okay. Stefano, it looks like Katerina isn't moving. Are you going to try and convince her to leave or what?
Well, yeah, I'm going there and just ask what's your plan? Do you like it so much here that you're gonna stay, or what's going on?
I'm gonna have a conversation with Oleg. Get out of here while you still can.
Are you sure you don't need support doing that or cover?
Like once they get in here, nobody else is leaving. It's time for you to go. He was the one that tried to feed me to these things. That's all I care about.
I have a necklace with a cross on it, and I put it down and throw it in Katerina's hands. And I'm running out of there.
And we'll see the three of you making your way up the hillside towards where I'm sitting as the camp begins to stir. And we'll see as you disappear over this kind of ridge, we'll see down into the camp as people are streaming towards the dig. Jasmin, you still have the dead man switch, just so we know. How do you want that last scene to play out? Because you've put yourself in the crosshairs here, Katerina. I'm seeing you lying there.
Yeah, so I think that I've even like you know, draped the remains of the vampire over me so that, you know, I have the smell. I have, you know, superficially it looks the same. So if some of the grunts sort of, you know, nose around a little, they won't look too closely. But Oleg presumably is like fairly high ranking here, and eventually he's gonna pop his head over, and I'm just gonna like scrape the dead vampire off my face and say in Russian, "Didn't think you'd see me here, did you?" And then just put 2 shots through his forehead, and then like stand up to start taking out as many of them as I can. But you know, ultimately they're going to cut me down in a hail of bullets.
That works for me. That works for me.
And then
I thought you were going to offer to take his place.
Too late for that.
Too late for that. And when you begin to hear gunfire, Jasmin, coming from the dig, you know, too much gunfire for Katerina to get out. What do you do?
yeah, then I just flip the switch and blow it up.
And on that heroic exit, Section D, archaeologist, engineer, diplomat, all go up in flames, along with a significant portion of the SAS's engineering team. And that is our game. If you have 5 minutes, I would like to have a quick stars and wishes, if that's or roses and thorns, actually, on a one shot. Hang on, though. I need to just stop the recording because I'll forget otherwise. So